In a bustling urban area always crowded with passers-by and vehicles honking noisily everywhere, Suho was blending in with the flow of people, standing and tapping on his phone while waiting for the green light to cross the street. He frowned, feeling a bit bored as he looked at the phone screen. A message appeared. "Today is Junho's birthday, so you must go out for dinner with the whole family. Okay, remember to come early, my son." Suho made an excuse, saying today I already have plans to meet a friend, and the other person scolded him. "You really are something, then you should bring a gift there." He coldly replied, "What gift?" Just then, the pedestrian light turned green. He absent-mindedly stepped across the street while reading a message from his friend. "Hey Park Suho, when are you coming? They are all at the internet cafe already, only you are missing." Suho could only reply, "Sorry, you guys just go ahead and play." On the other end, they asked, "Hey, why are you suddenly busy? I will buy noodles for you, come quickly." He still firmly refused, "Sorry, see you tomorrow." Suho was so absorbed in that conversation that he accidentally bumped into a man in a suit. The man immediately turned and shouted, "Idiot, can't you watch where you're going?" Startled, Suho scratched his head in apology. Sorry." Then each went their own way. Suho put his hands in his pockets, muttering, "Oh man, so annoying," suddenly bumped into someone. He squinted, pursed his lips, and pondered, "What does Junho like?" Suddenly, a loud crashing sound rang out in the crowded street. Suho and the crowd turned their eyes toward the sound, panicking. "What is that? What is that? Is it an earthquake?" The sky, which had been blue just moments ago, turned pitch black in a few seconds, and a bolt of bright yellow lightning shot down from above. Everyone was stunned by the scene, staring wide-eyed at the strange sight. In an instant, the energy shot straight into the ground, creating a terrifying explosion. Cars began to overturn, being thrown backward, and the crowd rushed away with screams, "Get out, move." It was still not over. The lightning struck a high-rise building again. Disaster began to unfold. The rooftop started to crumble into small pieces. The employees inside began running in chaos as it collapsed. Shouts of "Hurry up" echoed everywhere. On the main street, thick black smoke spread everywhere, and a man looked up at the high-rise building and shouted loudly, "No, my wife." Then it was not just a single lightning bolt, but hundreds of thousands of things piercing through the clouds and striking down here. They attacked the luxurious city directly, and a sea of fire and smoke began to spread. Wherever they struck, people and vehicles were thrown aside. Everyone clutched their bodies, panicking and searching for shelter. Suho was no exception. At the same time, a girl, half-blinded, ran outside yelling, "Help me." A young man nearby reached out, calling, "This way." Meanwhile, Suho saw an ambulance nearly hit a little boy and braked sharply, shouting, "No." He struggled to run, so frightened that his nose ran, thinking to himself, "What on earth is happening? This must be just a dream." Just then, a large truck came barreling straight towards Suho. He widened his eyes, staring at the headlights shining directly at him. Instinctively, Suho froze and raised his hands to shield his head from the huge vehicle. A blinding light, coming from nowhere, shone directly onto his face. For a moment, Suho's face became distorted. His whole body seemed to turn into some kind of liquid, writhing endlessly in midair. Not long after, the lightning bolt struck again in the pitch-black night sky. A surge of energy traveled along it, descending to this place. In an instant, Suho opened his eyes wide. He lay face down on the grass, his eyes wide and mouth open like a startled fawn, completely bewildered. Suho clenched his teeth, sweat dripping, and wondered, where am I? I just got hit by a truck." Sounds from above echoed, capturing his attention. Suho lifted his head and fixed his gaze on it. In the high sky, strange creatures flew beneath two moons that were very close together, their fur falling down like rain. It was as if he had been transported into another world, unable to believe what was happening. Suho swore silently to himself, "Damn it." At that moment, he lay naked in the middle of the desolate forest. Curiosity surged within him, and Suho quickly stood up, staring into the depths ahead. His eyebrows knitted tightly, and he clenched his teeth as he observed the area. In front of him, a bear opened its mouth wide, revealing sharp teeth, saliva flying everywhere. Suho's face immediately drained of color, turning pale, and he could not speak. It turned out that the huge bear was being attacked by a pack of wild wolves, biting and tearing at it, blood splattering everywhere. He grew increasingly terrified, his eyes wide open, his expression appearing vacant. Before him now was a white light, and a person in a lab coat slowly emerged behind it. The doctor calmly asked, "You said that after opening your eyes, you found yourself on a planet with 2 moons, and the forest was full of monsters. Then suddenly a battle broke out between a giant bear and a pack of wolves." Suho's face darkened upon hearing the summary from him. Jong-guk took notes while wondering, "So how did you survive there?" He fell into deep thought, unsure how to explain it plausibly. The scene of the bear being attacked by the wild wolves returned vividly in Suho's mind. The bear's paws and sharp claws lifted into the air. In an instant, its massive body collapsed onto the ground. The wolves still refused to let go, dragging their pack forward. The black bear fell right there, and the wolves pounced, tearing into the fatty meat. Suho was hiding behind a nearby rock. He did not realize that a wolf was already waiting behind him. Its black eyes were fixed on him. In the 36 stratagems, fleeing is the best strategy, so Suho got up and ran aimlessly. He had fled deep into the forest, his breathing growing increasingly labored. Time passed, and shades of red and pink began spreading across the sky. Suho ran headlong, running simply to survive. He was so exhausted that sweat drenched him, but compared to the danger he faced, this was nothing. Suddenly, an announcement sounded, "Your stamina has increased by 1 level." Suho froze when he heard it and exclaimed, "Huh!" Just then, his foot hit a stone by the path. Unable to stop, his whole body tumbled across the ground several times. Suho rolled everywhere and suddenly fell down a nearby cliff, screaming in panic. Moments later, he landed straight into a green bush, hitting the ground in an awkward position. Sweat and saliva dripped continuously from him. Squinting, Suho wondered, "What was that sound just now? I must be hallucinating." His pupils gradually shifted to one side. Suho faced rows of tall grass, among which were reddish fruits. One fruit that looked appetizing caught his eye. He approached, knees buckling, muttering, "I'm so hungry. I wonder if this can be eaten." Another fruit with several holes on its side was being swarmed by a colony of ants. He stared at the black ants swarming under the guidance of the lead ant. Without hesitation, Suho grabbed a fruit and ate it on the spot. Just as he bit into it, he froze. In the lush green grass, there seemed to be something incredibly mysterious. Suho crouched, his whole body trembling as if sensing some signal. Sounds began emanating through the grass. He opened his eyes wide, waiting for whatever was approaching him, sweat pouring continuously. A second later, a huge eye with rough skin appeared behind the grass. Suho, still eating, turned pale with fear. A gigantic blue snake lunged straight at him. Suho remained seated, looking up at it, not yet intending to flee. Fortunately, a frog jumped up and bit the snake right in the middle of its body. Having caught its prey, it quickly dragged the snake into the water. Suho still held the fruit in his hand, but his mind was in a state of complete panic. He was terrified by that scene, his whole body starting to stagger. Suho collapsed onto the ground, muttering, "This place is really bizarre, or maybe I've gone crazy." Not long after, dark clouds gathered again, and a torrential rain began to pour down. Raindrops collected on the bright green leaves before dripping down below. With no other choice, he lifted his face, opened his mouth wide, and drank the rainwater sliding down from the tree canopy. Suho found a tattered piece of cloth, wrapped it around the areas he needed to cover, and slowly drank the water flowing from above. Day after day, he ran to survive while exploring everything he could in this place, and it had already been the 67th day trapped here. Suho looked down at the wolves lurking below. Indeed, they were still targeting him. He felt uneasy, never knowing when they would strike. And in this forest, besides the wolves, there were thousands of other dangers, so it seemed he had to find a safer place. At night, the two moons rose again, illuminating the entire forest. It had already been a year trapped here, and Suho was now struggling with a huge bunch of bananas hanging from a tree. After some effort, a banana split from the bunch and fell. He quickly reached out, grasping the tip of the banana, and the system announcement rang out. Muscles increased by 1 level. Indeed, Suho's body was now covered in bulging muscles. He then sat on a familiar tree branch, staring at the huge banana before him. Suho bent his head down and began devouring it. He had survived and was gradually getting used to it. Meanwhile, a white wolf still lingered at the base of the tree, always following Suho. He chewed his food noisily while keeping an eye on it. Then he lowered his head to eat again, when suddenly a drop of water fell straight onto his back. Suho froze, looking up at what was above. He gritted his teeth, angrily uttering a curse. A gorilla, appearing out of nowhere, bared its teeth and threatened Suho. It raised both massive arms, glaring down at him. His human-sized body looked tiny beneath it as he looked up at the gorilla's face. Instantly, it slammed its enormous hands down onto the spot where Suho had been standing. Fortunately, he had grabbed a forest vine, holding the half-eaten banana in one hand, and swung to the side, exclaiming, "Oh wow!" Suho furrowed his brows, hesitating as he continued, "Over there is," because of the excessive weight. The gorilla fell from the branch. The white wolf below stepped back when it saw the shadow fall near it, its eyes turning extremely dangerous. The gorilla crashed to the ground. The impact threw the wolf to another spot. Suho watched the scene below. The gorilla immediately slammed its huge hands onto the ground. It tilted its head to one side, looking puzzled. What caught its attention was the white wolf's blood dripping from a small branch that had pierced its leg. Sensing imminent danger, the white wolf backed off, baring its teeth in threat. The gorilla clenched its teeth, its pupils widening as if it wanted to devour the wolf alive. Unable to hold back, it instinctively clenched its fists and swung its massive arms high. A second later, its enormous hand slammed into the ground, sending the white wolf flying again. Taking advantage of the gorilla's distraction, Suho swung on the vine and leapt onto its back. He drew the dagger from his side and stabbed directly into one of the gorilla's eyes. The attack caught it completely off guard, pain surged through it, and it let out a shrill scream. Acting on instinct, the gorilla immediately grabbed Suho and flung him several meters forward. Suho's body flew, crashing into a nearby tree trunk. He curled his fingers, his breathing growing rapid. The gorilla came charging from afar, furiously breaking several trees nearby. Blood streamed from the top of Suho's head as he sneered, "Think I'm crazy enough yet?" Transitioning to the modern era, Jongkook spoke, "Why did you do that?" Suho stared blankly and replied, "I couldn't keep avoiding fights over territory forever, so running away isn't a solution either." He paused for a few seconds, speechless, because it made perfect sense. Suho grinned confidently, saying, "Because no matter where you go, someone always rules." In that mysterious forest, Suho was sitting under a tree, watching the gorilla charging toward him. Although it was injured in one eye, its fighting spirit remained undeterred. Just as the gorilla was about to swing its massive arms down, the white wolf lunged forward and pushed it away. Suho froze for a moment at the sight. Not just one, but the entire pack of wolves rushed in, tearing at the gorilla from all sides. Suho fainted at the sight of the wolves attacking. He thought his life had ended, but they did not attack him while he was unconscious. Perhaps they assumed he had saved the injured wolf pup. That wolf pup, hurt in its leg, was the son of the Wolf King, the leader of the Blood Wolf clan. Night fell over the area again, and the two moons gradually emerged from behind the misty clouds. When the moons reached their peak, the wolf pack ran together toward a cliff. Each wolf raced swiftly to the destination. Amid the aggressive wolves, there was the small figure of a human, Suho. While running, he suddenly stopped to catch his breath, causing the white wolf to halt and turn to look at him. Afterward, the wolf and Su-ho continued as companions on the path ahead. After some distance, the white wolf began struggling to breathe. Seeing this, Su-ho lifted it into his arms, blending seamlessly into the pack. Time passed, and before long, the wolf pup had grown into a full-grown wolf. By the second year of his exile, the howls of wolves echoed across the forest under the 2 full moons. Recognizing the signal, the other wolves howled in response to their leader. The wolves had accepted Su-ho as a member of the pack. After some time, he was able to climb up the sheer cliff like a true wolf. By the 31st year of his exile, Su-ho was still in the forest. He had to face countless ferocious monsters, most notably a massive serpent opening its jaws wide, attempting to devour him. He drew his dagger, yet Su-ho had still not found a way out of the forest. He had not discovered any sign of an advanced civilization existing there, and so the wolf pack became his family. Su-ho continued to engage in battles over territory for the survival of his family. He was like Tarzan in the familiar story, swinging on vines daily to fend off ferocious beasts. At that moment, he spotted his target, a wild boar below. Seeing the perfect moment, he let go and drove his dagger straight into its head. Time passed, with birds soaring across the high sky. By the 120th year of his exile, Su-ho believed he was the only human on this planet. Through continuous fights for survival, he had gained many animal friends but had also lost some along the way. He had been lost for so many years that he had forgotten the passage of time. It felt as though hundreds of years had passed, yet he was still alive. Jong-guk, hearing this story, could not help but wonder, so after becoming the Wolf King and spending over 500 years, you still could not find any trace of a civilization. Then how did you return to Earth? Su-ho recalled the scene of both sides charging at each other in battle. At that time, he began a fight with the guerrilla clan on the Moonlight Hill. The wolves, full of fierce momentum, ran relentlessly forward. The guerrillas were equally bloodthirsty, growling a few times as if to intimidate. Su-ho blended into the wolf pack. His steps, the 2 sides clashed, one using hands to strike, the other using sharp jaws to tear at their opponents. He seemed to have gained the upper hand and smirked proudly, one hand gripping the hilt of his dagger. He stomped his foot hard on the ground to gain momentum, leapt into the air, and simultaneously drew his dagger, aiming it downward at a nearby gorilla. At the height of the battle, suddenly a red aura enveloped both Su-ho and the creature. His eyes widened, mouth agape, unable to understand what was happening. Su-ho's face gradually distorted, just as it had when facing the car in the civilized era. Next, both his body and the gorilla's began to warp as well. Soon after, a terrifying explosion erupted in that very area. The familiar dagger and the long dangling rope could only fall suspended in midair. The scene shifted to a modern urban setting where the evening glow had already descended. A small squad was moving through the desolate rubble with a path-finding device. Suddenly, a foot froze mid-step and that person spoke. "Nice." Hearing the device beep rapidly, Su-young immediately reported, "It's this way." But the circuitry up there seemed strange, making her mutter in confusion, "But Captain." Su-young quickly raised the device, turned back, and reported, "This thing suddenly went crazy. The dimensional energy readings are all over the place." The person beside her instantly ordered, "Quickly send our location to the portal management team." The panicked staff member replied, "Yes." Su-young followed through, "I've already sent them our coordinates." Suddenly, a strange light flared up before them, making the staff member scream in shock. "It looks like a portal is about to open." They all began running in panic, shouting, "We don't know what's going to come out of that thing. Retreat now. No wonder I had a bad dream last night." Immediately after that, a blinding white light engulfed the entire area following the massive explosion. All 3 were blasted backwards several meters from the impact. Their teammate, terrified, staggered back and exclaimed, "The portal has opened." The staff member turned around, eyes wide in horror, shouting, "No, I don't want to die yet." Although she was a woman, Su Young was far braver than the other two. She stood up and grabbed her weapon. Su Young shouted, "I'll buy time. You two get out of here." Hearing this, her teammate hurriedly responded, "I'll contact headquarters. Please send emergency support to our location." Su Young faced the fiery circle alone. She narrowed her eyes and muttered, "Come out. I'll tear you to pieces." But from within that radiant light emerged a human-shaped shadow. Su Young had never imagined such a scene, and her eyes widened in astonishment. At that moment, the figure lifted his head, one pupil gleaming. She froze for a moment, wondering, a human? Su Young tried to draw her sword, but found she couldn't move, making her think, my body. The person was none other than Su-ho, who suddenly let out a thunderous scream. Su Young shifted her feet back to gain momentum, readying herself in a battle stance before the murky red energy circle. Su-ho's one eye suddenly blazed brightly as he let out a piercing scream. She widened her eyes at the figure before her, sweat streaming down her face. Su Young gripped the hilt of her sword tightly, thinking, my body. Suddenly, his entire body staggered forward. Sensing something was wrong, she stepped back a few paces just as Su-ho collapsed heavily to the ground. Behind him was a massive crater with countless cracks, leaving Su Young speechless. The captain, surprised, exclaimed, "What? Is that a human?" Two young men rushed over to the spot, while she remained frozen in place, wondering, what was that overwhelming presence just now? Su Young looked at the unconscious face and marveled. Even the monsters from high-level dungeons she had faced never had such a presence. She pursed her lips in doubt. This person, who the hell is he? Shouts began echoing through the rubble. Everything's been taken care of. It's a person returning. Call an ambulance immediately. Back in the present, Jong-guk tapped on the recording device in front of Su-ho. He spoke, "Thank you for your cooperation." Jong-guk added, "Your testimony and health examination results will be sent to the Awakened Management Bureau. You seem quite healthy, so you'll probably be discharged in a few days." Su-ho kept his head down, slowly replying, Dr. Jong." Jong-guk had reached the door but stopped, turning back when he heard Su-ho speak. Su-ho cheerfully continued, "This is the first time I've spoken to a civilized person in 1,000 years. Thank you for listening to my story." He smiled politely, saying, "You have shared a very valuable personal experience. We are the ones who should thank you." The wild warrior returning after a 1,000-year adventure. Su-ho looked up in surprise. Then the door slammed shut as Jong-guk stepped into the corridor. Walking, he rubbed his chin thoughtfully. A truly interesting patient, his story vivid in every detail. If he were a novelist, he would certainly succeed. The scene shifted to several high-rise buildings. This place was the Awakened Management Bureau. Su Young stood inside the room and spoke. "Captain, are you sure this data is correct? It seems off." The captain leaned back in his chair and asked, "Is there a problem?" She held the card in her hand and questioned, "It says here he is F rank." He sat upright and confirmed, "Yes, he is a rare F rank patient. It's a pity. If he were E rank, he would have received government disability benefits already." Su Young fixed her eyes on the card and argued, "No, F rank means he is just an ordinary person." She stared at that face and wondered, but how could an F rank person pass through the teleportation gate? "Are you sure this information is correct?" The captain, hearing this, looked at the information on the computer and speculated. Maybe he got lucky. Sometimes that happens. Probably he hid somewhere and happened to encounter a regression stone. Then he brought the screen closer and said, "I just received the doctor's report from the hospital. Do you want to read it?" The information displayed diagnosis, awakened, insurance, government support. Dr. Kim Jong-guk. Condition, post-traumatic stress disorder. Symptoms, cognitive disorder, psychological disorder. Sometimes behaves like a wolf, seems trapped in a delusional world. Excessive stress causing patient to confuse imagination with reality. Treatment, antidepressants, risperidone, psychotherapy. The captain explained further, he has PTSD, a disorder commonly seen in returning F-rank individuals. Su Young studied attentively, pondering for a moment. behaving like a wolf. Su-ho's fierce face with one gleaming pupil suddenly appeared in her mind. Su-young's eyes widened, alarmed inside. Was this her imagination? A moment later she spoke. Captain, this is the file of the returnee Park Su-ho, right? He confirmed, yes. Although he is F rank, we still have to treat a returnee according to proper procedures. Su-young looked down at the document and suggested, then I will personally deliver this to him. The captain, surprised, continued, you want to deliver it yourself. Why? She turned and softly replied, I need to verify it with my own eyes. The scene shifted to a high-rise hospital that looked extremely modern. 2 weeks had passed since Su-ho returned to Earth after being lost in another world for 1,000 years. He longed to return more than anything, but now that he was back, everything felt so unfamiliar. From now on, how was Su-ho supposed to live? Suddenly a nurse carried in a tray of food and spoke. Hello, Mr. Su-ho, it's mealtime. He glanced gently in that direction without saying anything. The tray, full of food, was then placed on the table. Su-ho sat up and rubbed his stomach lightly. He hunched down to look at the food before him and muttered, First I have to fill this empty stomach. At that moment, footsteps came from outside the room. Su-young opened the door and asked, Is Mr. Park Su-ho here? At that moment he was hunched over, eating ravenously. She saw the scene and could not help being amazed. Noticing eyes staring at him, Su-ho, holding rice in his hand, had to pause and glance back. Su-young was startled and stammered her introduction. Hello, my name is Choi Su-young. I am from the Awakened Management Bureau. He immediately stopped eating, a foot set down on the floor, and he whispered, This scent, the blonde hair. Su-ho crouched like a wolf, sniffing a few times and muttering, Seems very familiar. She looked down at him and said, I am the first person you meet after returning. Su-ho heard this and uttered a small oh. Su-young pressed her lips together and thought. Clearly when he stepped out of the gate, he felt just like a wild beast. She watched him eat as if he had never eaten before and thought, but now, perhaps my perception is off. Not long after, Su-ho finished the tray of food and even exclaimed, Delicious. Su-ho replied indifferently, Because I am over 1,000 years old. She narrowed her eyes, speechless. Oh, I forgot you are a patient. Then Su-young placed a sheet of paper and a pen on the table and explained, The Awakened Management Bureau is a government agency established to help returnees like you integrate into society. This is the information a returnee needs to know. She pushed it toward him and continued, Read it carefully. For now you just need to sign to confirm your consent to share personal information. Su-ho held the pen in his hand and suddenly exclaimed, Wow! He raised it and sniffed. It's been so long since I've seen one of these, even after 1,000 years people still use this. Su-young felt extremely puzzled. Why does he sniff everything? Then Su-ho busily drew a few lines on the paper, causing her to speak irritably. I told you to sign, not draw. He replied sheepishly. Sorry, it's been 1,000 years since I last wrote. Su-young began to frown and instructed. Really? Are you a prehistoric person? No, here, I told you to sign and write your full name here. She crossed her arms, sighed, thinking, Isn't he just a fool? Su-young called out in frustration, Mr. Park Su-ho. Su-ho drew a few more lines while replying calmly, What is it? She looked at the wolf drawing on the paper and wondered, Did you practice drawing while you were there? He denied, I already knew how to draw before. Su-young reached out and asked, Did you learn anything there? Su-ho blinked in confusion and asked, What do you mean? She emphasized, Like dark magic or martial arts. He immediately refuted, No, I lived in the forest to survive. Su-young exhaled sarcastically, To survive? You just hid for 10 years, right? Su-ho was puzzled upon hearing this. She imagined him fighting monsters alone and thought, To become a true returnee, one must kill monsters and steal their dimensional energy. But it seems this guy survived because he ended up in a peaceful dimension and accidentally activated the teleport gate when he found a regression stone. I was mistaken. He widened his eyes and denied, Not 10 years, I was in that forest for 1,000 years. Su Young's lips twitched, and she immediately retorted, "You're starting to annoy me. It wasn't 1,000 years, only 10 years. Su-ho furrowed his eyebrows and shouted, "Only 10? She pointed at the documents, emphasizing each word. "Look at your file. It says you went missing in 2015 and returned in 2025 through a teleport gate." Only then did he panic, holding it in his hand and shouting, "What? Only 10 years?" Su-young continued, handing him the card. "Here, your awakened ID card." Su-ho held it and mimicked, "Awakened ID card." She then walked toward the door, not forgetting to add, "With this, you will receive partial hospital fee support. So if you lose it, report it to us, and remember to read the documents carefully." Su-young grabbed the doorknob and recalled with a sigh. Su-ho recalled the time he was still in that forest. He had given up everything, believing that even if he could return to Earth, all his friends and family would already be dead. And now that he had returned to Earth, Su-ho had to accept the truth that he had lost the family in that forest, the animals that had lived with him for 1,000 years, inevitably falling into despair as he once again became alone. Su-ho frowned as he looked at the files, unable to suppress his doubt. "But it's all just my own speculation. Only 10 years have passed since then." The information displayed: Park Young-ho 630400517, relation, father, died in the dungeon outbreak of 2015. Kim Yong-suk 67052327, relation, mother, died in the dungeon outbreak of 2015. He muttered, "So my father and mother died that very day, and Jun-ho." Su-ho's eyes suddenly lit up as he thought of his younger brother. He rushed off with the thought, "Jun-ho is still alive." Su-ho hurried so much that he bumped into people on the street, not forgetting to shout loudly, "Move, I have to see Dr. Hoy." The receptionist hastily reached out to stop him. "You can't just barge in there." Everyone shouted loudly, "Sir." But at that moment his hand was already on the doorknob. Su-ho quickly pushed the door open and yelled, "Hey, Dr. Hoy." A female nurse rushed over from behind to advise him, "You can't just barge in like that." But he ignored their words and shouted, "Hey, Jong-guk." Startled, he turned and said, "Huh?" He gently asked, "Su-ho, what's the matter?" Su-ho did not hold back and went straight to the main point. "I need your help." Jong-guk tilted his head in curiosity. "What help do you need?" He hurriedly approached and requested, "My younger brother is still alive. I have to find him. Please let me be discharged." He calmly refused again. "I think you are not yet truly ready to return to society out there. We will consider this matter. Why don't you stay here and wait for your younger brother to arrive?" Su-ho's face suddenly darkened when he heard that, his tone becoming threatening. "I think you don't understand the situation. I didn't come to ask your permission, Dr. Hoy." Jong-guk was not only unafraid but also laughed. "Is that so?" He lightly tapped the table a few times and continued, "All right then." Jong-guk looked up and proposed, "But I have one condition." Su-ho paused for a moment, opened his eyes wide and muttered, "A condition." Not long after, Su-ho was sitting in a taxi, politely saying, "Thank you. I will not forget this favor." Jong-guk stood outside and reminded, "All right, remember to keep in touch." He bent down and instructed the driver, "He hasn't fully recovered yet, so please make sure to bring him home safely." The driver quickly assured, Yes, don't worry." With that, the car sped off in front of him and the nurse. She stood behind, looking puzzled, speaking, paying the hospital fees, buying clothes, even covering his taxi fare. Then the nurse followed Jong-guk inside, but as she walked she asked, "Why are you doing all this for him? Normally people who return as rank F are basically ignored. Not to mention he keeps calling you Hoy." He said nothing and just chuckled a few times. Jong-guk, amused, hesitated and said, "I suppose it's because..." He offered a fairly reasonable explanation. "I still want to hear more of that young man's story." The nurse paused for a few seconds, surprised, and asked again, "What, you want to continue listening to that ridiculous story?" Jong-guk did not respond, only reminded lightly, "Remember to fix that broken doorknob." The nurse looked at the deformed knob, puzzled. "Let me call a repairman. But how did the doorknob end up like this?" It ended up like this, of course, because of the force Suho exerted on it. He then slowly sat down at his desk. Jong-guk pondered as if he had something on his mind. He clasped his hands together, rested his chin thoughtfully. This is the second time that a doorknob has been damaged. It's been a long time since I last sensed an abnormal case like this. The scene shifts to a taxi speeding through crowded streets. Inside, a news broadcast plays. Breaking news. At 3 p.m. today at an unfenced hunting ground near Hongchun City, Gangwon-do Province, monsters broke out due to miscalculations in the dungeon collapse timing. On the screen appears a monster with a long tongue and sharp teeth threatening the lives of civilians. The camera zooms in on its terrifying jaws. The announcement continues. The Minister of Defense has urgently deployed the Army and Air Force to engage. After the decisive battle, the situation was resolved in just 50 minutes. However, the military suffered heavy losses. 2 tanks were destroyed. A total of 12 soldiers and awakened individuals were killed. We will continue to report as new information comes in. The next broadcast appears. The Spee Tournament, a fierce clash between the world's top S-rank heroes. continuously provides interesting information. Ranked 34th in the world, Russian bear Michael Yorvas. His opponent is ranked 48th globally, beyond horizon. Suho listens attentively. The driver lets out a whistle of admiration. The 2 heroes preparing for battle immediately appear on the screen. The winner of this match will have the chance to contend for the championship against Hiro, the world's top competitor from Japan. Can the passionate hero beyond horizon end Russian bear's streak of 7 consecutive victories? He freezes for a moment, sitting in the back muttering, "The world." Suho remembers Jong-guk's words, "The world has changed greatly. Earth has become a completely different place after the great catastrophe." A person in iron armor appears with a call, "Rise, mercenaries." He raises his sword, the greatest hunting reward in guild history. The Shilla Guild, the 4th-ranking guild in Korea, is recruiting members. The driver, while driving, begins to chat. "If I were an awakened individual, I would quit this poor job and go hunt in the field." Suho asks in surprise, "There are hunting grounds in Seoul too." Seeing this, he glances back, tone slightly regretful. "You must have had a severe head injury." The driver asks again, "Young man, you really don't know." Suho quickly urges, "What? Stop beating around the bush, just tell me." He begins, "Let me tell you, just driving is boring. 10 years ago, not only in Korea but all over the world, portals to another world opened. People call it the day of the great catastrophe. It was the first time dimensions converged. The present world connected to many other worlds, causing civilians. That day, the world lost 10% of its population. The army alone was not strong enough to stop the monsters appearing everywhere. Therefore, in areas lacking military forces, mercenaries were deployed. Those who disappeared during the Great Catastrophe, known as the Awakened, were issued mercenary licenses and given the right to hunt monsters. These people formed guilds and began earning money by hunting in hunting grounds or dungeons. They would fight while shouting, "This monster is worth $20,000. Suho wondered, "Mercenary license, how does one become a mercenary?" The driver chuckled to himself, thinking, "Why is he taking this so seriously?" Then spoke, "For ordinary people, it's a bit difficult." He explained the process. First you have to awaken. Then you need to pass the mercenary test administered by the Department of Awakened Management. Suho frowned and murmured, "Mercenary test. Sounds complicated." By now, the evening had fallen everywhere. The taxi gradually entered a narrow alley. In an instant, the wheels screeched to a stop. The driver's voice rang out, "We're here." He pointed ahead and said, "Do you see that 2-story red brick house? That's the address I received." Suho got out of the car, politely said, "Thank you." The driver cheerfully replied, "I hope you have a happy reunion with your younger brother." Suho then walked alone to a small house. Suddenly, his steps halted in front of an old wall. Suk-cha, wiping the window, saw him standing below. She quickly spoke, "Who are you?" startling Suho as he looked up. He answered frankly, "I'm here to find Jun-ho." Suk-cha was extremely irritated by Su-ho's attitude. Su-ho looked at her face, puzzled. Suk-cha clicked her tongue and scolded. This brat, still smelling of milk, dares to speak bluntly to an adult. He widened his eyes and exclaimed, "Huh!" She immediately yelled at him, "There's no one named Jun-ho here. Get lost, you little brat." Instantly, the window slammed shut in front of Su-ho. He slumped, wondering, did I come to the wrong house? Inside the room, Suk-cha's voice echoed, "Damn lenders, always bothering us, those bastards." Another voice spoke, "Mom, the scary uncles are here again." This caught Su-ho's attention. He stepped closer, listening to their conversation. "It's okay, Gunwoo. Hurry up and eat. Truly a cruel world. What did this child ever do wrong?" Su-ho pressed close to the door to eavesdrop. The father works day and night, but the debts keep piling up. He noticed the mailbox while the conversation continued inside. "Father, you are a debtor." "No, it's not like that. Come on, eat now." Su-ho reached out, slowly took out a piece of paper. He stared at it, lost in thought. Looking at the familiar name and numbers, he wondered, Jun-ho is a debtor. Then he put his hand in his pocket and quietly walked along the narrow street. Su-ho reflected, in the wild. The scene shifts to a high-rise building, sunlight blazing down across the glass exterior. Su-ho glides past a few people nearby and confidently steps inside. He quickly places his papers on the desk. However, the staff refuses, surprising Su-ho, informing him that his application to join the mercenary force has been denied, that he does not meet the qualifications. He frowns in confusion. "How? I am an F rank awakened." She explains, "You are classified as F rank, but you are missing 4 awakening points." Su-ho immediately objects. "How is that possible? I arrived here through the portal 2 weeks ago." The staff laughs mockingly. Ordinary people would be shredded to death going through the portal. He insists, "I am certain I felt that kind of pain." She looks down on him. "God, are you Hulk or something? Go home and stop dreaming." The staff raises an eyebrow and instructs, "In any case, you can attend the awakening school or increase your points on a battlefield. Please return once you are truly awakened." Su-ho can only leave with regret. Not long after, he stands before a board displaying reward, goblins appearing in Suwon area, then mutters, "What a complicated system." He suddenly pauses, muttering, "Goblins in Suwon area." The scene shifts to a small part of the city. Su-ho sits in a taxi and asks, "How long is this high wall?" The driver promptly replies, "It surrounds all of Seoul. You should check the map app." Su-ho mutters as if he fell from the sky, "Map app?" The driver adds a few details. "Didn't you download it?" Seoul is divided into 12 zones, with over 100 portals for travel, plus dozens more leading to battlefields. Su-ho glances to the side, thinking, "I will need to buy a smartphone immediately." Not long after, the taxi wheels screech to a halt. The driver announces, "We are in the Suwon area, gate 27. Su-ho politely responded, "Thank you." He then opens the door and slowly steps out. He slips his hand into his pocket, looking at the enormous gate 27 in front of him. Su-ho looks up, puzzled. "So if I step through this gate, there will be a hunting zone called a battlefield." One of them looks at Su-ho and asks, "What are you here for?" Without hesitation, Su-ho coldly replies, "Hunt." The soldier falls silent for a few moments, narrowing his eyes to evaluate Su-ho from head to toe. Then he spoke up, "Please show me your permit." Su-ho immediately lowered his head, dejectedly replying, "I don't have one." The person beside him interjected, "Ordinary people are forbidden from entering the battlefield." Suddenly, an alarm blared, capturing their attention. The soldiers quickly raised their guns and urgently ordered, "Block the exits, it's too late." A car suddenly sped out from inside, knocking over the barricades and tossing them aside. At that moment, a goblin was biting the soldier driving the car, his panicked screams echoing. The car began to lose control, swerving wildly from side to side. A few minutes later, the car crashed into a barricade ahead. One soldier panicked, staring blankly at the scene, while the other urgently reported over the radio, requesting an emergency team. Immediately, a squad armed with guns arrived, surrounding the smoking car, loudly ordering, "Stay still, hold your position." Shouts echoed non-stop as they identified targets while the car shook violently. A giant hand with sharp claws pierced through the car window. The goblin, its mouth dripping blood, suddenly surged up. The soldiers quickly aimed their guns, and the commander ordered, "Fire!" In an instant, bullets were shot, piercing directly into the goblin. Despite its enormous body, it could do nothing against the gunfire. The commander, standing from a distance, still raised his hand and shouted, "Keep firing." After a while, the goblin collapsed beneath the car. The military personnel immediately approached, and the commander called out, "Situation resolved. The monster that came through the portal has been killed. Now, call the medics." Someone curiously asked, "Sergeant Park, where did that person go?" He suddenly remembered that idiot came by taxi. Sergeant Park glanced back suspiciously. Gone already. When he saw no trace, he laughed. He probably ran off. I bet he's scared. At the same time, Suho was leaving gate 27, muttering as he walked. So this is a battlefield. He furrowed his brow, thoughtfully reflecting, "I can feel it." Suho paused, sensing everything here, the sounds, the smells. A moment later, he thought to himself, "I need to get a car too." Not long after, Suho stood atop a building, looking at the cityscape under the blazing sun, wondering, have all the other cities changed like this too? He squinted, thoughtfully reflecting, no way. Time passed, and the sun gradually set. Darkness now enveloped the entire area. Suho stood alone in the desolate wasteland, muttering the familiar darkness. He placed a foot into the vast open space. Suho closed his eyes, letting himself fall from the rooftop, thinking, time to hunt. His body dropped from the height swiftly. Suho landed with full force. He lowered his head, sensing his body as if it had no weight. At that moment, the ground beneath him cracked into small fragments. Suho lifted his palm lightly off the ground. Using momentum, he jumped, shattering the area into pieces. He then ran swiftly through the silent night. Already, he ran along the ruined buildings, looking exactly like a real wolf. Suho clenched his teeth, pushing himself to full strength. Finally, his hand grabbed onto a wall. Suho climbed onto a rooftop, exhaling as he muttered, "It's the residual effect of returning. Feels like I've lost my strength." He regained his composure, standing under the full moon. Suho closed his eyes, sniffing and whispering, "Let's see." He quickly turned to one side, sensing something very strange over there. Suho listened to the echoing sounds, wondering, why not start from there? Once again, he dashed with lightning speed. Suho sprinted to the abandoned buildings. He stopped, his gaze sharpening. Bravely, he entered the dark corner where the strange noises came from. Inside was a white wolf with long streaks of blood, facing goblins armed with dangerous weapons. Their saliva dripped like rivers, ready to consume their opponent. The white wolf growled in response without hesitation. At that moment, Suho slowly stepped into the dark night. He furrowed his brows, assessing the situation. "Need my help?" The white wolf immediately glanced at Suho as if signaling something. The goblins were unaware of his presence and charged together to attack the white wolf. Suho seemed to already have the upper hand, curling his lips into a smirk. He gritted his teeth, rushing forward, thinking, "So these guys are my prey, clear enough." He then reached out and punched a goblin straight in the head. With just that one punch, a chunk of its head exploded, blood splattering everywhere. Suddenly, the system popped up, searching for your rank. The goblin collapsed, and Suho stepped back as countless system panels appeared. "Rank already exists. System error." Suho's eyes and mouth widened. Suho faced the system panels, curiously wondering, what is this? A system error. Finding them annoying, he immediately waved them away. Go away. Back in the real space, Suho was now surrounded by countless goblins. One of them closed its eyes and opened its mouth full of sharp teeth. But before it could do anything, Suho punched it once, sending its whole body falling backward. Not only that one, but the goblin beside it also took a painful hit. Suho continuously unleashed powerful punches filled with energy. Knowing they couldn't win, one goblin immediately ran away. It climbed the ruined building with skill. Suddenly, something made it stop, turning to look down below. It turned out that Suho had caught up to it. He reached out and grabbed the goblin by the head. Moments later, Suho quickly threw it from a height. The goblin fell heavily to the ground, blood splattering everywhere, while Suho was falling right after it. But with the survival skills he had learned in the deep forest, he landed safely. The system panel appeared again. System error. Druid changed position. Unable to reset stats. System error. A series of messages appeared. Unable to acquire class skills. Critical error. Suho was surprised, asking, "What? Impossible." He suddenly remembered something, lowering his head and muttering sadly, "That's right. About 100 years ago, Suho barely received any stat increase notifications after his body had been trained to its limit. At that time, the system had informed him, 'Your power has increased by 1. Back in the present, countless questions filled his mind. So even on Earth, there's a status panel. Could this system error be the reason my abilities have been weaker since returning to Earth? Suddenly, a helpful message appeared. Permission acquired, item shop open. Suho exclaimed in surprise, "An item shop? I've never received a notification like this before." He wondered, is this what awakening means? The status panel immediately displayed 2 items with a point value of 7. Suho touched them, sighing, "With 7 points, this is all I can buy." After he finished, a loaf of bread and a bottle of water appeared in front of him. Suho suddenly turned to look at the source of the heavy breathing. The white wolf that had countless wounds was lying there. Beside it, a small wolf pup kept licking the blood on its body. Curiosity and pity arose, making him stride over to it. Suho then slowly knelt down to look at them. He reached out and touched the white wolf's neck lightly, wondering if it was dying. Had they used poison? Its eyes were tightly shut, and its breathing grew weaker. Suho seemed to understand the white wolf's thoughts and said, "What, you?" Then it barked once and collapsed right there. Suho was shocked and muttered, "I never said I would take care of you. Don't die so quickly." The small wolf looked up at him with pitiful eyes, making Suho warn, "Don't look at me with those eyes." He furrowed his brows and wondered if this was also fate. Suho then pulled out his jacket and reached inside. He handed the loaf of bread he had just bought to the small wolf and said, "Eat this first." Then Suho stood up and walked over to the fallen goblins on the ground, muttering, 1, 2, 3, 7 in total. He looked up at the high sky and whispered, "I really need to get a car." Not long after, the sun gradually rose behind the bustling streets. Suho was sleeping leaning against a tree when the glaring light hit his face, waking him up. He opened his eyes. The small wolf was still sleeping soundly on him. He reached out and patted it a few times, urging, "Let's get going." The scene shifted to gate number 27. A soldier was waving a red card shouting, "Keep distance from the vehicle in front." He also reminded, "Remember to enter the decontamination room before collecting your payment." The female driver inside grumbled, "Why is it taking so long? Hurry up and do it." Suddenly all the drivers turned to look back at the scene behind them and exclaimed, "Wait, what is that? Oh my God." The soldier also widened his eyes in shock when witnessing this. It turned out that Suho was carrying on his back the 7 goblins he had killed last night. They looked at the goblins and whispered, "This guy, is he out of his mind? Carrying all the corpses like that? Did he handle all of them alone?" The soldier was also stunned and speechless. Not long after, Suho arrived at the payment counter. The receptionist calculated, 7 goblins are 3,501, 4 blood crystals are 601, minus 2,001 for decontamination and veterinary fees for the puppy. Your total is 2,101. Suho frowned, looking puzzled, and repeated, "Blood crystals." She held up a blood crystal and explained, "We extracted them from the chests of the goblins." The receptionist looked at its dark red color and gave the price. The price depends on the amount of energy stored in each blood crystal. With this size, it's about 201 per crystal. Then she handed him a stack of cash and said, "Since you don't have an account to receive the money, we will pay you in cash. You seem quite professional. If you register as a mercenary, it will be more convenient to earn money." Suho held the money in his hands and muttered, "Once I register as a mercenary, earning income from dungeon raids will just be a matter of time." The scene shifted to a small grocery store. Inside a voice called, "Are you well, sir?" He replied quickly, "Your Park, long time no see. How have you been?" Jun-ho honestly said, "Recently I've been working as a truck driver." The shop owner encouraged you. "You had financial problems, right? I'm glad to see you found work." He gratefully said, "Thank you, sir. Though it's a bit dangerous going to the fields, this job pays better than city work." The man cheerfully handed him a chocolate bar. "That's good. Gunwoo likes this, right?" Jun-ho scratched his head shyly and whispered, "May I also take a bottle of soju?" Then he sat back in the truck, continuing his daily work. Jun-ho hummed a few tunes while driving. At the same time, a taxi drove past the grocery store. Not long after, he stopped his white truck. Jun-ho grabbed his bag and walked cheerfully along the empty street. Suddenly a voice called out, "Park Jun-ho," making him turn around. A man without saying a word rushed at him, hitting Jun-ho to the ground. He held a weapon in his hand, smirking mockingly, "Long time no see. Jun-ho, I was afraid you'd run away." Jun-ho, with blood running down the top of his head, panicked and looked back. Then the sound of heavy impacts echoed throughout the area. He sat down, slammed his weapon hard on Jun-ho's shoulder mockingly, "Looking at you? You've bulked up since the last time I saw you." The man shouted angrily, "You bastard! Do you know how many times I've had to come here?" Jun-ho bent down, honestly confessed, I'm sorry. I was away from home to work in the fields." Jun-ho trembled all over, taking out a stack of money to plead. "Here is this month's repayment and the accrued interest, totaling 2,400 won. Please spare me." Seeing the money, the man stopped, counting and calculating. "Let's see, the loan is 1,600 won, accrued interest is 1,200 won, plus the home collection fee and laundry fee over 4 days. Then he clicked his tongue and continued, "Too bad, you're still a little short." At this moment, Jun-ho's hands clenched tightly, veins bulging. He bowed his head, saying through tears, "I'm sorry, I'll find a way to repay the remaining amount within 3 days." The debt collector slammed his baton on Jun-ho again, shouting like a madman, "You bastard! Do you know how much 3 days of interest is?" Jun-ho painfully endured and shouted, "Yes, I know." He gritted his teeth, raised it high to warn, "You bastard, if you lie to me again." Just as he was about to strike, a voice called out, "Jun-ho," making everyone stop and look in that direction. Suho, along with the white wolf, slowly approached. He froze, asking worriedly, "What the hell is this guy?" Jun-ho widened his... Jun-ho exclaimed in surprise, "Brother." The leader saw this and also asked, "Brother, what's going on?" Suho said nothing, just stepped forward coldly. His face radiated danger, eyes fixed on the other party. He saw Suho bend his knees and looked at him with curiosity. Only then did he speak softly, calling Park Jun-ho. Suho smiled gently and asked, "You are Jun-ho, right?" He opened his eyes wide, unexpectedly seeing a family member after 10 years apart. Jun-ho could only say, "Brother." Memories of school days flooded back, when he was beaten by thugs who cruelly shouted, "Get up, you dog!" They approached, groping Jun-ho all over. "Hey, search his pockets," he protested. "I really don't have anything," the man interrupted. "Didn't I tell you to bring 101? Just then Jun-ho looked up with one bruised eye and saw someone familiar. "Brother?" Suho, carrying 2 huge bags, had to pause upon witnessing the scene. He reached out, crying and pleading, "Brother, you have to help me," while the thugs continued teasing, brother?" But Suho did not help at all, calmly throwing away trash as the calls echoed, "Brother." He lowered his head, letting the shouts ring in his ears, "Brother." Suho's face darkened as he listened to the scolding from the gang. You bastard. Haven't you seen a coffin yet without crying? You must help your friends when they are in trouble. Jun-ho seemed to understand him, gritting his teeth and mumbling a few curses. Brother, you bastard. Suho ignored it, walking coldly up the stairs, while the teasing and laughter continued. You're so eager to call your brother. But is that really your brother? Day after day, that scene repeated, and Suho had never helped Jun-ho even once in his life. Not long after, the building broadcasted the news. Next is a brief news report. A large explosion of unknown cause occurred in Sego District, Mapu Province, quickly spreading across the country. Jun-ho sat in front of the screen, paying close attention. We will continue reporting on unknown monsters emerging from the red zones that appeared after the explosion. He paused, gradually glancing behind him. Suddenly Jun-ho ran hastily out the door. He panicked, opened the door and shouted, "Mother?" Two middle-aged people immediately appeared, anxiously calling, "Jun-ho, you're still at home, thank goodness." Jun-ho's face darkened completely, unable to speak, and the two quickly explained, "We couldn't reach your parents." "Where is Suho? We have to leave immediately." Just as they finished speaking, an explosion erupted from outside. Jun-ho was thrown several meters back by the force of the energy. The beasts then rose up, continuously smashing the high-rise buildings. Among them was the warm home of the two brothers, and he was more terrified. At that moment, the giant eye of a monster appeared in the crack of the wall. Jun-ho was still there, not moving a bit. A few seconds later, the beast suddenly changed direction, and he narrowly escaped death. Jun-ho stepped back for a few seconds, his body covered in wounds, trembling. He had once thought that whether Suho disappeared or not, it had nothing to do with him. Back in the present, he stared at his older brother, thinking, he is exactly that kind of person to me. Suho knew nothing, just spoke to start a conversation. I heard about that area. He frowned, muttering, "Brother, I thought you were dead. How are you?" The debt collector interrupted. "Hey, are you dumb from getting beaten so much?" He pointed his baton at Suho, questioning, "This brat is your brother." Before receiving an answer, the man was grabbed by the top of his head. Suho did not hesitate, throwing him straight back. Jun-ho could not believe what was happening, only staring wide-eyed. The man's body was thrown so far he flew several meters, breaking a wooden fence. With just one strike, he lay sprawled on the ground. The henchmen, both worried and angry, exclaimed, "Boss, this bastard." Suho calmly asked, "Are you hurt anywhere?" Jun-ho nervously replied, No, I'm fine." Suddenly a furious man rushed forward, shouting, "Idiot, don't you know fear?" He swung his leg to kick him, loudly threatening, "Do you want to die together?" But Suho remained calm, glancing at the man's leg right at his neck. With just one hand, he snapped the man's leg, making him scream in pain. The man lay flat on the ground, clutching his leg and crying out, "My leg." The other man saw this, terrified, sweat dripping from his face, thinking, could this be an awakened person? Suho quickly pointed down and ordered the remaining man. "Come here," he exclaimed in shock. "Huh?" The man hurriedly raised both hands in protest. "I didn't hit you, really. I really didn't hit him." Suho just held out the stack of money, coldly saying, "Take the money." The man still hesitated, making no move. Suho frowned, gritting his teeth, emphasizing, "Take the money and get out of here." Then the two left, and only then did the man dare to pick up the stack, bowing and shouting, "Thank you, sir." Not long after, night fell, and the small house was lit by lamps. Suk-cha opened her eyes wide as if evaluating something. She clasped her hands behind her back, staring at Suho. A few seconds later she spoke. "Is he really your older brother?" Jun-ho confirmed, "Yes, he is my brother." Suho. After speaking, Suk-cha turned, walking up the stairs while urging, "Go upstairs quickly." The boy waited for his father so long he fell asleep. The white wolf, of course, followed, not forgetting to sniff the boy's hair. It circled above Gun-woo's head while the boy slept soundly. Suho looked at it and asked softly, "Is this your child?" Jun-ho gently replied, "His name is Gun-woo." He is my only companion. Suho glanced curiously. What about his mother? His younger brother gloomily said, she left to find a new life. Jun-ho looked at Gunwoo, blaming himself. It's all because I'm useless. Seeing his mood drop, Suho suggested, let's have a few drinks. In a flash, 2 glasses of white liquor clinked together. Sitting opposite, Jun-ho asked curiously, after that incident I thought you were dead, and you haven't aged at all. I didn't expect you to appear suddenly like the awakened people I usually see on TV. Suho frowned, questioning, how much do you owe them? He honestly replied, about 50,000 won. Even so, Jun-ho raised his glass, his tone extremely optimistic. I'm fine. Now no matter what happens, I will get through it. Suho sadly continued, what are you doing now? He took a sip of his drink and said, just driving for hire. There aren't many long-distance drivers in this city because it's very dangerous, but the pay is quite good. Suho wondered, is that truck yours? He explained that the landlady lent it to me. Suho was surprised. Son, what he is doing now? Jun-ho replied, he left suddenly, so now she treats me and Gunwoo as family. She's also a benefactor in my life. Meanwhile, the white wolf was licking Gunwoo's face, waking the boy. Gunwoo looked at it in surprise and exclaimed, oh, this little dog. The boy opened his eyes wide, turning to the side. Gunwoo hugged the white wolf and opened the door, calling loudly, Dad. Jun-ho happily replied, son, you're up already. The boy went to them, curiously asking, who is this older brother he introduced? That's your uncle, quickly greeted him. The boy obediently followed. Hello, uncle. May I play with this puppy? Suho just smiled kindly, signaling his approval to the boy. So Gunwoo rolled on the ground, playing with the white wolf. Jun-ho didn't know it was actually a wolf, so he happily said, that's great. Gunwoo has wanted to have a dog for a long time. Suddenly Suho proposed, Jun-ho, let's work together. He paused, looking puzzled, saying, huh. Suho laid out the plan, I will handle everything, and you will use that truck to help me. Jun-ho tilted his head curiously, but the scene shifted to a high-rise building. A loud shout echoed. The staff looked at the profile information and announced loudly, congratulations, you have successfully registered. In just 1 day you can already start your career. He held his card in his hand, wondering, Druid F rank, she explained. Now you can use this card to open an account and make transactions. The staff also presented an X-Phone 50, adding, this is a gift of appreciation for the awakened who have successfully registered. She relayed the information. You will receive the Hunter Test Schedule and hunting information if you register on the Awakened Management Bureau app. Suho raised it, examined it for a while, and exclaimed, amazing. The staff gave further instructions. When you accumulate enough resources from hunting monsters and successfully ascend to E rank, you will receive additional rewards and many benefits. We hope you will develop further to protect humanity. She suddenly asked, by the way, do you know how to open the status window? Recently we have been repairing the system due to some glitches. Immediately a window appeared before him. Suho muttered, status window. What is this? He looked at the information on it and wondered why the detailed stats had been reduced and why he could not increase them again. The scene shifted outside. A white truck was speeding down the road. Jun-ho was driving when suddenly his phone rang. He cheerfully answered, a new phone, huh? It seems you successfully registered. Congratulations. Jun-ho excitedly continued, I'm almost there. After delivering this last shipment, I will head there immediately. After hearing the story, he wondered, so you still have to take a test, right? Suho explained on his side. Before that we have to pay off all debts first. Jun-ho frowned, worriedly said, huh, but you're only F rank. Hunting monsters will be too much for you. Then the call was disconnected, making him exclaim in surprise, huh, why did it end? Jun-ho sat in the truck. Curious, is he really my brother? His personality is completely different. At the same time, Suho was walking while making a call. Monster hunting rewards. The Nam-Yang-ju gate nearby. The scene shifted to gate 77. People inside the area near several parked cars shouted, Please quickly turn back. All the prey has already been handled by you. One car after another formed a long line. Inside one of the vehicles there were Min Hayek and his teammates. Those in the back of the vehicle were trembling continuously, even praying for luck. Seeing this, Sang Jin turned around to reassure them. Hey, no need to be so tense. You all awakened. What's there to be afraid of? He encouraged them vigorously. Have you forgotten? If you complete this mission, you will officially join Guild Scylla. The girl in the middle, though scared, still spoke boldly. No, that's not it. We will do our best. Meanwhile, Min Hayek frowned, thinking silently, these roadblocks. He propped his hand on his chin, blaming a bunch of incompetents, only focused on rewards like you dare to come here. Sooner or later your true colors will show. These new recruits are hopeless. Outside, a soldier called, next. He looked at Suho in front of him, surprised. Suho stood there with a towering presence, confidently facing him. The soldier asked, Are you alone? Suho replied firmly, Yes. He ordered, Please scan your awakened card. Suho quickly took out his card and scanned it into the machine. The soldier immediately read out the information. Park Suho, F rank. He reminded him, You know each hunting ground has a limit on hunters, and you absolutely must not enter the dungeon area. Suho turned and left, responding calmly, Yes. That scene unfortunately caught Min Hayek's attention. He watched Suho's lone figure gradually move inside. The soldier also exclaimed in surprise, He's going alone without any equipment. Someone nearby whispered, He's the one who caught 7 goblins at gate 27 yesterday. Min Hayek in the vehicle frowned, muttering, That guy. Sang Jin beside him exclaimed in shock, He's hunting in that state. He doesn't even have any weapons. He's crazy. Not long after, someone approached him and announced, Everyone's been waiting a long time, right, due to some technical glitches in the system. Sang Jin politely replied, Yes. Then the soldier raised his hand in salute, not forgetting to wish good luck. Receiving the signal, Min Hayek immediately gave orders, Han Sang Jin, accelerate. He felt confused, glanced over and replied, Yes. He stared intently at Suho and then commanded, quickly chasing after that person. Sang Jin also fixed his eyes on him and immediately complied. Yes, I understand. Right after that he pressed the accelerator hard, making the car shoot straight forward. Not long after, suddenly the wheels screeched to a halt. The people inside were extremely panicked. Sang Jin widened his eyes in shock. Min Hayek was equally astonished. He turned the steering wheel toward the corner of the wall and said, What is this? He was just here. Sang Jin leaned out of the window and exclaimed, How did he disappear already? Min Hayek had a different expression, grinning to himself. Suddenly I feel like I am about to catch a big one. At the same time, Suho was running straight into the deep forest. He used all his strength, running like the wind. In a moment, Suho slid his feet on the ground to brake. He bent over, his breathing increasingly heavy. Suho, drenched in sweat, asked himself, Is this my condition? He looked at the information on the status window and silently confirmed, It really has weakened. I have to train again. Suddenly something made Suho halt. He frowned, sensing a sudden change in the atmosphere. Suho straightened up and listened, jumping on that bastard. He looked toward the direction of the sound, guessing, the sound of a sword. Someone's voice grew louder. You bastard, do you want to die? Suho turned his face and assessed. Over there. The corner of his mouth gradually lifted as if extremely excited. Suho bared his teeth in a wicked smile, thinking, This is a duel of civilized people. I cannot miss it. On the other side, a hand holding a sword was cut off, blood spraying everywhere, accompanied by a shrill scream, My hand. The other person stomped his foot on the ground and loudly challenged, Jump in. At this time, Suho was standing on the rooftop of a high-rise building, looking down at 2 sword tips clashing with bright red blood, along with the curses below. I told you to jump in, you bastards. Who will be the next to get their hand cut? Do you all want to die? He pressed his lips together, listening to every word. Stop saying meaningless things, you trash. 3 people were being surrounded by 9 strangers, both sides hurling insults at each other. Are you deaf? If you leave everything behind, I promise I will give you a way to live. Shut up, you bastards. Do you not know who we are? My hand. Suho put his hands in his pockets and casually asked, no one intends to fight. Suddenly one man pushed the car door open. He stepped onto the ground and loudly questioned, did I bring you along for you to handle things like this? The awakened men heard that voice and glanced over. Gu-sik, boiling with anger, walked up and scolded them. You took too long to deal with these 4, seeing that they exclaimed in shock, he is. He grinned when he heard the words. Choi Gu-sik has a bounty of 4,001 ringing out. Suho was about to turn and leave, but that sentence slipped into his ears. He turned back and thought, 4,001 bounty. The awakened men panicked and shouted, a rank C bandit leader, that is Choi Gu-sik. Gu-sik's underlings instantly grew arrogant. You bastards, who gave you permission to casually call our boss by name? Now you are dead for sure. He began stretching his limbs and taunting. Yes, I am Choi Gu-sik with a bounty of 4,001. If you dare, then come catch me. They grew flustered and huddled together. One man fearfully asked, why do we have to do this? He is Choi Gu-sik. His brother beside him questioned, so do we have to leave everything to them? Gu-sik suddenly charged straight at them while scoffing. You lot are no fun at all. The man's eyes widened as he tried to stop him. No, wait. The awakened man was still talking. We will leave everything. You do not have to. When Suho leapt down from above, shattering a large section of glass as he entered the scene. He landed with a heavy impact that brought the fight to an abrupt halt. Gu-sik frowned, looking at Suho in confusion. The awakened men also stepped back, equally bewildered. His underlings stared wide-eyed and stuttered, what is that? Suho maintained his cold demeanor, stepping forward one step at a time. Facing him, Gu-sik raised his voice and questioned, you lunatic, where did you crawl out from? Suho bared his teeth and asked, you said 4,001. He smirked and asked bluntly, why? What do you want? Suho replied without hesitation, I want money. His underlings murmured in shock, is he crazy? Does he not want to live anymore? Upon hearing that answer, Gu-sik burst out laughing. The awakened men on his side were also extremely puzzled. He raised an eyebrow and guessed, seems like you're not from the management bureau. Suho squinted when he saw someone looking down on him. One of his eyes flashed red, simultaneously warning, it would be better if you don't interfere in my business. Suddenly his entire body froze in place, not a single movement possible. He tried to step forward but couldn't, and wondered, what is this? Why can't my body move? Standing nearby was Yi-sik, who gritted his teeth, worried for Suho. Gu-sik lowered his head, pointed to his eye and said, you've stared into my eyes for more than 5 seconds. Suho blinked in confusion and muttered, His red eyes glared fiercely as he emphasized, now you cannot move at all. Suho still lifted his head, thinking of a way to escape this situation. Gu-sik quickly reached out and commanded, what are you standing there for? Go catch him. His underlings immediately obeyed, yes sir. They laughed mockingly, so he's finally speaking. This guy must be tired of living. Why did he jump out like that? The awakened men were weaker and could only stare in astonishment. Yet before they could act, Suho swung his arm and punched Gu-sik. His underlings were astonished at the scene. The awakened men also panicked and exclaimed, what is this? He can move. He was hit so hard that his face twisted to one side, yet he still had the presence of mind to ask, how did you? Suho's fist clenched tighter, glowing with a dark red energy. He bared his teeth and questioned, is this your magic? Gu-sik was terrified, gritting his teeth as he sensed the murderous aura around him. Suho's blood boiled, one of his pupils shining bright blue, and he charged with a powerful punch, exclaiming, interesting, isn't it? Gu-sik was so overwhelmed by the aura pressing against him that he could only stare wide-eyed at his opponent. The dark circles around Gu-sik's eyes grew more pronounced. He shouted, seal. So Suho's entire body stopped for a moment. He narrowly avoided the blow. Gu-sik bared his teeth and said, "So you are not an easy one to deal with." He immediately pulled the dagger from its sheath. Gu-sik bent down, swung his arm back to gain momentum, and muttered a few words, "But even so, you can only watch yourself getting beaten by your opponent." Just as he was bragging, a second later Suho used his knee to strike straight into his nose. He then pulled back his leg. Looking at the blood splattered everywhere, he said, "Besides sealing." Suho used his punch again, not forgetting to mock, "Don't you have anything more useful?" In extreme pain, Gu-sik squinted and shouted, "Seal." Before he could finish the sentence, he was hit with another punch to the side of his face. Not stopping there, Suho continuously punched Gu-sik in the stomach. His eyes became sharp, launching extremely powerful attacks. A moment later Suho grabbed his collar and lifted Gu-sik into the air. He bent one leg, using it to propel Gu-sik forward. The giant body of Gu-sik crashed into the glass. By inertia, Gu-sik flew inside. Suho glanced up and mocked, "Truly boring." The awakened ones stared, wondering, he handled Choi Gu-sik so easily. Who exactly is this person? Then Suho faced his henchmen alone. He coldly asked, "You want to fight too?" They immediately denied, "No, why would I say that?" Then Suho pointed to one side and commanded, "Everyone stand over here." The henchmen quickly charged forward, shouting loudly, "Yes." He glanced back and asked, "Does anyone have a rope?" Yi-sik spoke up, "Huh, I have it here." Suho again put his hand in his pocket, looking at the henchmen, questioning, "How much reward were you offered?" They knelt down and honestly confessed, "No, not like that. We were not offered any reward. Yes, only Choi Gu-sik was rewarded. We were threatened by him so we could do nothing else. You only need to catch Choi Gu-sik alone to become rich." Gu-sik heard that and widened his eyes, even though blood from his nose and mouth was still flowing. He had been punched until one side of his face was bruised, crying and blaming bastards. Even though Gu-sik was tied up hand and foot, he still cursed, "You've been following me all this time. Got hit like this, you traitors." Suho heard that voice and turned around, asking, "Did you just get up?" The henchman also turned hostile immediately, frowning and shouting, "Stay down, bastard, go to jail, you trash." He turned back to them and said, "So I don't need you anymore, right?" "Yes," the henchman confirmed, "we are useless." Yi-sik immediately exposed, lying, "They are all criminals. If you hand them over, you will receive a reward." Suho heard that and exclaimed, "Really?" The henchman quickly objected, "No, not like that. We are all scoundrels." Gu-sik suddenly changed his attitude. "Hey noble warrior, don't you feel annoyed with the laws in this city?" Suho glanced at him, showing confusion at that statement. Gu-sik began to entice, "This place is truly the land of freedom. If you let me go, I will help you live like a king." As soon as he finished speaking, Suho's foot blocked right in front of him. He stomped hard on his face and coldly declared, "Go to sleep and dream." Gu-sik spat out a mouthful of white saliva, then immediately lost consciousness. After handling this guy, Suho turned around and looked at the henchmen behind. He asked again to be sure, "All of these guys are rewarded, right?" "Yes," Yi-sik confirmed, "that's correct. They are all escaped criminals." Knowing they could not escape, each of them frowned and muttered, "Caught again." Suho hesitated, "But how can we take this many back?" he suggested. "Just use our vehicle." Suho frowned and murmured, "You guys have a car." He squinted and muttered, "Then you all should go to sleep too." So the screams echoed again as the evening gradually fell. Damn it, we were not rewarded. Not long after, a red vehicle sped along the main road. The truck bed behind was full of the criminals tied up. Yi-sik drove while speaking, "Thank you so much. We don't know how to repay you." Suho politely replied, "It's nothing. I helped you not because of that." He happily responded, "Yes." The two people in the back excitedly added, "After all, you saved our lives. Yes, now our lives belong to our benefactor." Suho heard that and propped his chin, muttering, "It's not that serious." Then Suho asked, "What is your superpower?" He hesitated. "Do you mean skill? Mine are swordsmanship, pursuit, and exploration. Suho glanced over in surprise. Huh, skill. You have 3 skills. Yi-sik confirmed. Yes, swordsmanship is the awakened skill, and pursuit and exploration I learned from skill books. Suho scratched his chin. Oh, so magic can also be learned from skill books. He glanced over, thinking in surprise. Huh, he doesn't know skill books. Suho recalled Gu-sik's sealing technique and reminded himself. Looks like I need to equip some combat magic too. Suddenly he raised his head and focused straight ahead. A gate had been destroyed, collapsed on the roadside. The vehicle continued moving as if nothing had happened. Suho spoke. That is the gate, right? Yi-sik was startled and exclaimed, yes. He suddenly changed his attitude. Hey brave sir, don't you feel uncomfortable with the city's rules? Suho glanced at him, puzzled by that statement. Gu-sik began to tempt him. This place is the land of freedom. If you let me go, I will help you live like a king. Just as he finished speaking, Suho's foot blocked right in front of him. He stomped hard on his face, coldly declaring, go to sleep and dream. Then Gu-sik spat out a mouthful of white saliva and passed out immediately. After handling him, Suho turned to look at his henchmen behind. Suho asked again to be sure, all of these guys are wanted, right? Yes, Yi-sik confirmed, that's right, they are all escaped criminals. Knowing they could not escape, each of them scowled and muttered, caught again. Suho hesitated. But how are we going to bring back so many? He suggested, just use our truck. Suho frowned and murmured, then you guys should go to sleep. Then screams rang out again as the evening light faded. Damn it, we are not wanted. Soon a red truck raced down the main road. In the back of the truck were tied up criminals. Yi-sik drove while speaking. Thank you very much. We do not know how to repay you. Suho politely replied, it's nothing. I helped you not for that, he. 2 people in the back enthusiastically added. After all, you saved our lives. That's right, now our lives belong to our benefactor. Suho heard that and rested his chin on his hand, muttering, that's too much. Then Suho asked, what is your superpower? He hesitated. You mean skill? Mine are swordsmanship, pursuit, and exploration. Suho suddenly glanced over, surprised. What? Skill? You have 3 skills. Yi-sik confirmed. Yes, swordsmanship is the awakening skill, and pursuit and exploration I learned from skill books. Suho scratched his chin. Oh, so magic can also be learned from skill books. He glanced over, thinking in surprise. What? He doesn't know skill books. Suho recalled Gu-sik's sealing technique and thought to himself, seems I need to equip some combat magic as well. Suddenly he lifted his head, staring straight ahead. A gate had been destroyed and collapsed on the roadside. The truck continued as if nothing had happened. Suho said, that's the gate, right? Yi-sik was startled, saying, yes. After that, they only needed to go to the dungeon and recruit hunters to be promoted, so they could officially join the guild and carry out missions, staying alert on both sides. They acted in groups, reporting via radio, left side clear, right side clear, and the team members would bear all the damage. And when encountering monsters, the sounds of cursing and fear rang out. You didn't guard the 2 o'clock direction, so scary. Min Hyuk angrily scolded this damn society, only relying on connections. Sang Jin quickly changed the subject. Oh my god, Captain, calm down, or shall we go have a few drinks? He looked ahead, suddenly asking a series of questions. But why is the area around the soon-to-disappear level 1 dungeon so chaotic? Right, what happened? Min Hyuk called out loudly, Captain Jang. He immediately appeared. Captain Kang Min Hyuk. He questioned what was happening here. Captain Jang reported, someone has caught 10 robbers. Min Hyuk asked, robbers? He explained, among them was also a C-rank robber. He is Choi Gu-sik, quite famous. You've heard of him before, right? He frowned and asked again, Choi Gu-sik. Min Hyuk guessed that some high-ranking person came here. Captain Jang denied. No, the one who caught them is an unknown F-rank guy, not even qualified to register for a certificate, he exclaimed in surprise. Min Hyuk asked seriously, how could he do that? Captain Jang looked over at Gu-sik lying on the pole, hands and feet tied, being carried by soldiers, and explained, I don't know either, according to witnesses. He just defeated them like that. That bastard Choi Gu-sik, when he was brought out, his nose was broken, cheekbones damaged, and 4 ribs fractured. He paused upon hearing that, Suho's back immediately appearing in his mind. Min Hyuk slapped his shoulder and asked, Where is he? Captain Jang looked confused and said, It seems he just entered the gate. Without hesitation, he quickly chased after that place. Sang Jin looked at Min Hyuk's back and called out, Captain, where are you going? He smirked to himself, thinking, I have to check. Not long after, Min Hyuk ran to the military vehicle, repeatedly saying, Urgent, urgent. He hurriedly reported, Urgent, which made the guards surprised, glancing over. A person wearing a radio inside turned and asked, Captain Kang, what is going on? Min Hyuk quickly asked, I heard the guy who just caught Choi Gu-sik has already gone into the gate, right? He nodded absent-mindedly, and Min Hyuk demanded, Which number gate is it? Cut to Suho. He and Yi-sik had just stepped through a gate emitting countless sparks of electricity. Suho entered and remarked, It really doesn't hurt, and the clothes didn't disappear. Yi-sik happily explained, If it weren't for the products made from multi-dimensional energy, we couldn't get through this gate. Also, because these clothes are made from materials found in the dungeon. That's why they can pass through. They look normal, but they cost more than 2 million won. Suho heard this and turned his face, looking extremely puzzled. He looked at the hazy gate and asked, What is that? Yi-sik explained, People call it a door. He imagined several doors close together, then gave an example. With these doors, we can travel to 38 dungeons, and the door we entered leads to dungeon number 24. Suddenly, a blinding light flashed from the door. It disappeared into thin air, making Suho exclaim, The door disappeared. Yi-sik reassured him, It will open again when we clear the dungeon. Suho asked seriously, Clear the dungeon? What do you mean? Kill all the monsters in here? He denied, No, you only need to capture the strongest one. Then Suho stretched his body, gratefully, Thanks, I'll come back right away. You wait here. Yi-sik hurriedly asked, Wait, what do you mean by wait? But just as he finished, Suho stomped hard on the ground to gain momentum. Then he dashed off, leaving a patch of shattered ground in front of him. Yi-sik was shocked, thinking, What's wrong with him? Could it be that he just needs to hear about it? He paused, looking at the smoke rising from the broken ground, wondering, No, if he is strong enough to catch a C-rank Choi Gu-sik, could he shorten the time needed to clear this dungeon? Suddenly, Yi-sik's eyes widened. His face went pale. He clenched his teeth, fearing, but he doesn't have the exploration skill. If after clearing the monsters, he can't find the door and leave within the time limit. Thinking of this, Yi-sik quickly ran off, inwardly terrified. Oh God, we'll be trapped and perish along with this dungeon. Cut to the military side. Someone sitting in front of a screen exclaimed. Min Hyuk behind asked worriedly, What's wrong? He glanced at the report. Gate 24 had just closed. Upon hearing this, he frowned and swore. Cut to inside Gate 24. Suddenly, one glanced back, drool flowing from the corner of its mouth. A goblin was suddenly pulled down, letting out a piercing scream. The 2 others were extremely confused and panicked. The goblin was thrown back several meters. The attacker was none other than Suho, who dashed forward, knocking the dagger from the goblin's hand. Achieving his purpose, Suho slid his feet on the ground to stop. He bent down, reaching for the dagger, muttering, You guys are useful after all. Suho immediately performed surgery on it right there. He frowned as the blood splattered. Even with a surgical mask on, he muttered this smell. In no time, Suho retrieved the bloodstone from it, removing his mask to carefully examine every detail. He glanced to the side and whispered, 1 out of every 3 goblins has a bloodstone. If converted to a reward, I've probably earned enough. He looked at the status window thoughtfully, but more importantly, he needed to level up. Not long after, Yi-sik witnessed countless goblins lying on the ground. He maneuvered through the corpses, bewildered, It was just now that he had. Instantly, Yi Sik's eyes lit up, silently calling, pursuing. He used his ability, focusing his gaze in one direction, confirming, over there. Meanwhile, Suho remained somber about his status, level 1, Park Suho, class, Druid, actual experience, 102. He pointed at it, muttering, with 102 actual experiences, I can choose to learn 2 skills, Wild Beast Taming, Druid, Feral, Training, Intimacy, 10 Beast Status, Summoning Plant Spirits, Druid, Harmony, Spirits, Intimacy, 10 Beast Status. Suho read through, Wild Beast Taming. Each beast has different status points. If it exceeds the total number of wild beasts, sometimes they will go out of control. He nodded, saying, Good, for now this will do. Suddenly, 2 goblins jumped down from above, attempting to sneak attack Suho. He sensed the danger and immediately looked up at them. With a single strike, 1 goblin was thrown to the side. Suho handled both of them with his 2 hands in the blink of an eye. Not only that, he dismembered their bodies, each part in a different place. After the goblins fell to the ground, the system notified, actual experience, 545. Suho continued punching another goblin, causing its teeth to fly out, inwardly rejoicing, leveled up. Suddenly, information appeared again, fatal error, data conflict, performing data supplementation and synchronization until reaching the limit. He frowned and asked himself, what is this? Why synchronize? Suho stopped to read, level 2, name, Park Suho, class, Druid, actual experience, 345, stats. Strength 135, Stamina 151, Intelligence 99, Recovery 90, Healing 88, Harmony 17, Feral 44, Agility 127. He sighed, the stats increased so little. Suho reached out muttering, summoned Plant Spirit, Druid, Harmony, Spirit, Intimacy, 10 Beast Status, and first spent 100p to acquire Plant Spirit skill. After completing the action, the system reported, skill acquired. He lowered his head and called, summoning Plant Spirit. In moments, faint glowing lights surrounded Suho. A green flying... Suho exclaimed, it's real. At first I thought plant spirits were just flying insects. He stared at it and commanded, Spirit, to find the remaining goblins. The spirit obeyed, quickly emitting a source of energy. It created a light, sweeping everywhere. Suho observed carefully, still not satisfied, said aloud, so this is how all the memories of plants are transferred into my mind. But why is it so slow? Is it because my level is still too low? He immediately glanced at the status board, level 2, name, Park Suho, class, Druid, actual experience, 345. Stats, Strength 135, Stamina 151, Intelligence 99, Recovery 90, Healing 88, Harmony 17, Feral 44. Skills, Exploration, Scanning terrain and objects, Pursuing, gathering a lot of information from a small clue. The information Suho focused on was exploration, scanning terrain and objects, pursuing, gathering a lot of information from a small clue. He quietly read, explored and pursued. Suho reached out and pressed, I will use the remaining points to acquire all these skills. The system quickly reported, skill acquired, skill acquired. Then he placed his hand on the ground. Suho closed his eyes, calmed himself to feel. He bent down, infused a source of energy and said, exploration. Not long after, Suho opened his eyes and whispered, terrain and objects here. Suddenly his eyes lit up again as he gave the command, pursue. Suho furrowed his brows, continuing, information about the goblins that had died earlier. Suddenly, something made him stop. Suho glanced toward the depths and muttered, that thing. His pupils flashed as he wondered, isn't that a goblin? Locking onto the target, Suho once again dashed toward it. After just a few minutes, his feet screeched to a halt. Suho swayed a few times at the sight before him. He pressed his lips tightly, furrowed his brows, speechless. At that moment, Yi-Sik was struggling to defend against the goblin's spear. Suho above did not come down to help but shouted, "What are you doing?" He looked pale, glanced over and asked, Have you arrived?" Suho frowned in irritation. "Didn't I say I would hunt alone?" Yi-sik trembled, correcting his words. I am being hunted." Suho smiled and said, "So that's how it is." Yi-sik was still struggling as the sharp tip nearly touched his face. Eyes half closed, he pleaded, "Please, save me." Suho immediately shot down at the speed of light, leaving both a person and a beast staring in shock. The goblin immediately raised its shield, blocking one of Suho's attacks. However, the force was so tremendous it rolled it several times backward. The goblin quickly dragged its feet along the ground to gain momentum. It raised its sword high, preparing to strike the opponent. Yet Suho was a step faster, delivering a perfect jaw hook to the goblin. Its entire body flew straight back, crashing into a nearby wall. Not stopping there, he pulled his mask up over his face, grabbed the dagger, and rushed toward the goblin. Though already heavily wounded, it growled a few times to intimidate. Calculating carefully, Suho stomped his foot to gain momentum. He leapt into the air, gripping the dagger tightly with both hands. With a decisive, after Suho finished dealing with it, he glanced over and asked, "The gate has opened now, right?" Yi-sik sat quietly, not daring to move, and replied, "Yes, that's right, it has opened." So the two of them stepped out of that gate. A soldier sitting in a car turned his head as he saw them pass by. He widened his eyes and asked, "Is that the person who captured Choi Gu-sik?" The guard outside confirmed, "Yes, Captain Kang is looking for him." The person inside continued, "He asked us to contact you if he appeared," then suddenly shouted, causing the guard to rush over and ask anxiously, "What happened?" He stared at the screen in disbelief. Is it true that he cleared this dungeon? The soldier blinked and replied with a short yes. Outside, Yi-sik was cautiously standing, raising his hand to wave goodbye. "I have to find my teammates from earlier. I will call you later, big brother." Suho turned and said, "Yes, you worked hard. I will leave the clothes and items in the storage room." The scene shifted to a small room in a corner of a long corridor. Suho slowly pushed the door open and stepped inside. As soon as he arrived, he sighed, "I'm so hungry." Suddenly he froze, furrowing his brows. Min Hyuk stood in front of him and greeted, "Hello, Park Suho." Suho asked, "Who are you?" He introduced himself, "I am Kang Min Hyuk, captain of the 27th Command Team, Guild Silla. May I talk with you for a moment?" Soon after, they chose a cafe and sat down to talk. Suho held a cup of coffee in one hand and a card in the other, muttering, "Guild Silla." Min Hyuk looked over and confirmed, "Yes." He offered, "I want to invite you to Guild Silla. We will provide you with the best conditions." However, Suho took a sip of coffee and immediately refused, "No need." Min Hyuk felt both embarrassed and puzzled by this. He thought to himself, he immediately declined the invitation to join my guild. Could he be trying to raise the price? Min Hyuk began to probe, "If you already have a guild, then you can just ignore our invitation." Suho closed his eyes and replied indifferently, "I don't have one." He immediately became excited and tried to persuade him. "Although our guild ranks 4th, in reality, the ranking of guilds does not mean anything. Even if you receive invitations from other places, I guarantee that we will provide you with the best conditions." Hearing this, he gently placed the coffee cup on the table. Suho squinted, firmly refusing. "No, it's just that I don't like working under someone else." Min Hyuk, hearing this, broke out in a sweat, his face crumpling. The scene shifted to the small house of Jun-ho and Suk-cha. He stepped inside but saw no one. Suho raised his eyebrows, wondering, they haven't returned yet. Outside, white clouds drifted lazily across the high sky. At this moment, he lay basking in the sun on the rooftop, thinking, indeed, the two of them need to spend more time together. Just then, Suk-cha carried a basket of clothes past him, asking, "A strong young man like you, why are you lying here?" Suho bared his teeth and smiled, saying, "You should come lie down too. The weather is perfect for a short nap." She replied while hanging clothes, "Don't you see I came up here to hang clothes?" Then he went to help, and Suk-cha gently reminded him, stretch it out, kid. Suho obediently followed. Yes. Suk-cha frowned and suddenly asked, are you? Suho quickly played along. I cheated a lot. Suk-cha was speechless. Damn, this little kid. He continued to smile. Really? She started rambling. Strange things kept appearing, taking lives. The world was in chaos. Meeting each other like this is a miracle. She narrowed her eyes and advised, it's been 10 years since you two brothers met again. Don't hurt your family anymore. Just trust and move forward, kid. Suho felt Suk-cha's heart and smiled gently. He assured me, don't worry, I'm not that easy to die. She held the basket, turning around to retort, you're too arrogant. Nothing is impossible. Soon after, Jun-ho returned home, hurriedly asking, ma'am, is my brother up there? Gun-woo carried the white wolf in his arms, running behind excitedly, shouting, Grandma. Suk-cha answered, he's there, go find him. Then they ran up to the rooftop. He raised his hand to greet. Hi. The boy also ran up shouting, Uncle. Suho sat on the wooden platform and asked quietly, you're back. At that moment, a white envelope lay on the platform. Jun-ho sat down, turned to look at it and asked, what is this? He calmly replied, it's 50 million won, take it. He paused for a few seconds, looking astonished. Jun-ho hesitantly held it in his hands, whispering, brother, how do you have such a large amount of money? Suho interjected, just take it, then let's go have dinner together. He suddenly looked flustered, mumbling, brother, how can I ever repay this favor? Suho immediately changed the subject. Stop whining, let's go. Jun-ho stood up, wiping his tears with his hand as he replied, I know. Suddenly Suho called out, Jun-ho. He paused at the sound of his name and glanced over. Suho asked cheerfully, you have money to buy meat and alcohol already, right? Jun-ho confidently replied, of course, I'll go buy it right now. You watch Gun-woo for me, okay? Then he left, leaving Suho sitting, looking at the status window, while Gun-woo played with the white wolf, chasing it. Come on, chase it. The system displayed a notification. A target is following the user. Please assign a name, he muttered, a name. Suho quickly asked the boy, hey kid, what should I name it now? Gun-woo suggested Beak-gu. Name it Beak-gu, uncle, Beak-gu. He immediately agreed, Beak-gu. All right, sounds good. Suho looked at the white wolf and announced, from now on your name is Beak-gu. The system displayed, name, Beak-gu, level 1, combat power 3. He immediately stood up, threw a ball, and commanded, Beak-gu, bring the ball here. The boy got excited seeing its speed, shouting, Uncle, Beak-gu is so fast. Gun-woo played with it like that for a long while. Beak-gu, good job, come here. Time passed, and the sun gradually set. He looked at the familiar white truck and said, let's go greet him. So the two of them went down to the front of the house. Gun-woo ran excitedly ahead, calling out, Dad. But at that moment, Jun-ho was wearing a black full-cover shirt, blood streaming down his face. The boy stopped, eyes wide in shock at the sight, unable to speak. Dad. Jun-ho staggered a few steps, his voice weak. Gun-woo. Just a few seconds later, Jun-ho collapsed to the ground, causing Gun-woo to panic and run over. Dad. Suho gritted his teeth, witnessing his brother being attacked like this, with screams ringing out beside him. Dad. Oh my God. Dad. Gun-woo. What happened? The scene shifts to another apartment building, where everything has fallen into darkness, except for one room that is still lit. The people inside are gambling, while only Young-soo is sitting in front of the computer. He frowns and asks, how are this week's SPFC dividends? His underling reports, John Habai increased by 1.2 times, Dang Jin Cheol increased by 7 times. The boss wonders, next week, there will be a match between Michael Jordan and Vion de Horizon, right? He points at the screen to confirm, yes, everyone is all in for Michael. Young-soo scowls and questions, could there be something wrong with the Horizon? Last time with the Tiger Herd affair, I also listened to those guys and went out to see. Suddenly loud banging noises erupt at the door, catching everyone's attention. The boss raises his voice and asks, what is that sound outside? He orders his underlings, "Go check it out, you guys, move your feet." Before they can reach the door, it is already cracked open. A man slowly steps inside, barely able to stand. Everyone inside freezes at the sight. The man who just walked in has blood all over his face and stammers, "B-boss, something big has happened." Before he can finish, a dark figure behind him reaches out and grabs his head. His entire body is then dragged straight into the deep darkness, and his scream echoes everywhere. The underlings inside exclaim in shock, "What on earth is happening?" Seeing their comrade bullied, they all rush forward together, not forgetting to curse, "What bastard dares?" Just moments after their bold words, the one in front is thrown backward, crashing into another man. The two of them tumble through the air for several rounds, smashing into the tables, chairs, and glass cabinets. The last two pull out knives, their bloodlust rising, and challenge, "They are all dead already. Come in here if you dare, you bastard." From outside, a familiar foot stepped in slowly. That veiny arm reached out and grabbed the cabinet. Just a second later, the entire cabinet was lifted. Suho, exuding overwhelming presence, raised it into the air with one hand. The underlings were terrified, screaming in panic, "He's gone mad." Without saying a word, he bent down and threw the cabinet straight toward the underlings. Someone in the room saw the cabinet pierce through the glass door, and immediately raised his hands to cover his head, yelling loudly. The others fell flat on the floor. Some were cut by shards of glass. Another was hit directly by the cabinet and thrown several meters away. Yet another flew into the air, spitting out a mouthful of blood, and then went straight out the window. Suho didn't hold back and stomped directly on the head of a man lying nearby. Jong-soo, witnessing his underlings attacked beyond recovery, trembled all over. Suho clenched his hands and walked through the chaotic scene. Two of them cowered in fear, huddling together defensively. Jong-soo whispered, do you know who he is?" The underlings glanced and guessed. "Maybe he's awakened. Could it be him?" Before they could finish speaking, Suho kicked a chair toward them. It flew straight at the two men, making Jong-soo scream, my leg is broken, you bastard." Moments later, the computer and keyboard crashed to the floor. He stomped coldly on the desk, as if threatening his opponent. The underlings clutched themselves in pain, and Jong-soo, trembling, barely spoke. Suho asked casually, "You are Kim Jong-soo, right?" He gritted his teeth and admitted, "Yes, I am Kim Jong-soo." Sweat drenched his face, but he still frowned and demanded, "Who are you?" Suho held up a white envelope and said, "I'm here to settle the debt for Park Jun-ho." His face darkened, muttering curses. "You really are crazy." Jong-soo blustered in threat, "Awaken like you dares to beat an ordinary person like me. Do you think I'll let you go?" Despite his words, he was extremely frightened, frowning in caution. Suho didn't bother replying and slapped Jong-soo so hard that his front teeth flew out. He struck him with another slap and asked, "Why did you treat someone who came to pay you like that?" Suho still didn't stop, his tone growing more dangerous. "You just need to take the money, say thank you, then bye-bye, that's it." The slaps grew harder as he raised his voice in anger. "Why did you bastards dare act so recklessly?" Drops of blood splattered everywhere. Jong-soo struggled to speak through the pain. "Please?" he cried desperately. "Sparing me, please." Suho raised his hand threateningly. As promised, in moments Suho was sitting on the desk, looking down at the group kneeling to confess. The gangsters trembled and shouted in unison, "All financial relations between us and customer Park Jun-ho have been resolved." Suho was still unsatisfied, frowned and ordered, again, louder. They immediately shut their eyes tightly and screamed with all their strength. "All financial relations between us and customer Park Jun-ho have been completely resolved." Hearing that, he warned, "If I ever see you again, I will kill you all. Stay away from me if you know what's good for you." The gangsters bowed low and obediently replied, "We will remember." Each one pressed his face to the floor, terrified. Jong-soo wasn't any better, sweat dripping all over his face. He narrowed his eyes as if plotting something. Moments later, one man got up, looked around, and said, "Boss, he's gone." Jong-su's face darkened, already thinking of revenge. Where did that bastard crawl out from? I will kill every one of them. Scene shifts to the building of the Awakeners Association. Min Hyuk hurriedly ran to a small room. He pushed the door open and reported, "Deputy Director Park, something urgent had happened." The man inside politely replied, "You've worked hard." Seeing Min Hyuk, he asked annoyed, "What now?" The older man pointed at the screen and said, "Take a look." He looked at Suho's face on the screen and reported, "This is a high-level rookie I just discovered." Sang-ho widened his eyes in surprise. He's only F rank, and besides, he just registered as an Awakened today. Min Hyuk patted his shoulder and continued, "That's exactly what's amazing. Let me see his profile." Sang-ho glanced over and reminded me, "Take your hand off. It's annoying." Yet the screen displayed a message, "Access denied." He exclaimed in surprise, "Who exactly is this guy?" And Min Hyuk was equally shocked. Sang-ho suggested another approach, "Try the back door." Min Hyuk agreed, "All right." He began typing skillfully. After a struggle, he sighed, "Oh man." Both of them stared intently at the screen. Sang-ho panicked. The activity records for him are all gone. Is he really F rank? Min Hyuk wondered if something was interfering with this. He asked himself why this person's personal information wasn't public. Sang-ho, nervous, bit his nails and guessed, he doesn't belong to any clan. Is he hiding something? Min Hyuk thought the same. Right? Min Hyuk suggested checking. Sang-ho widened his eyes and murmured, "Concretization system. What is this? Bread and water." He clenched his teeth, frowning, unable to comprehend the situation. Sang-ho naively asked, could he have used bread and water to catch Choi Gu-sik? They imagined Suho throwing those two items at Gu-sik, making him scream, "Stop it." Sang-ho immediately denied it. Impossible. But he disappeared for 10 years without leaving a trace. He speculated, could he be a special forces operative for our country? Min Hyuk then thought differently. He assumed he was just a special individual. He mutters gloomily, and turns out he's a government agent. Sang-ho crossed his arms, glanced over and reminded me, "You should give up trying to recruit him too. I'd bet 99.9% he's a government operative." He smugly continued, "I already guessed this a long time ago." Min Hyuk still felt puzzled. How could he be so cold and composed? He exhaled sharply and suggested, "Let's go get some coffee." As Min Hyuk stepped outside, he wondered aloud, why would a special forces operative go into a level 1 dungeon? Sang-ho, following behind, said, "Even if you know, what difference does it make?" He added, "For now, just keep monitoring Park Suho." Min Hyuk groaned, "Oh man, just give up already." Min Hyuk huffed coldly, insisting, "If anything unusual happens, report it to me immediately." Sang-ho still refused firmly, "No way, I'm busy." The scene shifts to Simsung Hospital, sunlight bathing the tall building. Suho is carrying a bag of supplies as he gently pushes open the hospital room door. He smiles softly and asks, "Jun-ho, are you awake?" Jun-ho, with a bandage wrapped around his head, hears the voice and turns, calling out, "Oh, you're here." He looks at the pile of food Suho has laid out on the table and wonders, "You bought so much food." Suho sits across from him, cheerful, saying, "You need to eat a lot to recover quickly." Boxes are filled with fried chicken, alongside hamburgers, fries, and 2 cups of soda. Suho asks, "How are you feeling?" Jun-ho smiles broadly, replying, "I think I can remove the bandage tomorrow." Then he remembers, "I have an evaluation exam tomorrow, right?" Suho bites a piece of chicken and confirms, "Yes." Jun-ho murmurs to himself, "It would be great if I could pass and join a good guild." Suho thinks of his own image in the forest and silently muses, "A king of the green forest like me, yet still having to bow to others." His younger brother suggests, "Maybe I can help you find a decent guild." Suho immediately Jun-ho exclaimed in surprise, "You will create your own guild instead of joining another guild." The scene shifts to the tall building of the Awakeners Association. Su-young is walking with her weapon when the team leader shouts from behind, "Hey, Choi Su-young." She turns back and responds, "Yes, Deputy Director." He puts his hands on his hips and asks, "Have you been having any problems lately?" Su-young answers unexpectedly, "No." The team leader frowns and yells, "Yet the area you are in charge of has exploded twice already. If the auxiliary gate hadn't appeared yesterday, Seoul would have turned to ashes by now. Do you understand that?" She dejectedly replies, "Are you saying that if I were not there, it would not have happened?" He can do nothing but scratch his head and plead, "Please, I am begging you, save me. The Gate Management Bureau called me this morning." Su-young guesses, "They want you to resign." The team leader sighs in frustration, "Such a headache." He shouts in fear, "You brat. Why do you keep ruining my good opportunities?" She snorts coldly and admits, "I don't know either. I just can't concentrate lately." The team leader hands her an envelope and says, "Enough talking. Take this and go." Su-young reaches out and takes it, wondering what is this. She opens it, and after reading only a few words she shouts, "Unbelievable. And you dare say if I am tired I should rest." He stretches his hand out to warn, "Only you. If you had worked carefully it wouldn't be like this." Su-young immediately turns and leaves, coldly saying, "Fine." The team leader hurriedly calls out, "Hey kid, where are you going?" He urgently shouts, "Remember not to abuse your authority and eliminate all the applicants. You know we are short on people these days. We need more new recruits for the battlefield." She argues irritably, "If you let those idiots pass, they will just die on the battlefield anyway." The team leader is speechless. This hot-tempered brat. Meanwhile, at another building hosting the selection test, people are coming and going, talking to each other. "This time I will pass. This is my 4th try." Dong-soo holds up his live stream screen and broadcasts, "Hello everyone. I am currently at the hunter selection exam. If you all can cheer for me so I can pass this test." His image appears as his voice speaks steadily, "I will fulfill all your requests. Please follow and support." Dong-soo brushed his hair and sighed, "Bro Kam-soo, thank you for supporting me with 10,000 won." He secretly smiled in satisfaction. It was only the test, and he was already receiving this much support. If he could enter the dungeon. Suddenly 3 people stepped into the room, making him pause for a few seconds. Dong-soo immediately reported the situation. "Brothers, the judges have arrived. They forbid filming, so I will stop the broadcast here." Right at that moment, Soo-ho pushed his face toward the screen looking confused. Seeing that, he frowned and questioned, "What is it? Is this your first time watching a live stream?" He curiously asked, "Who were you talking to just now?" Dong-soo complained, "Get out of here, my god, move aside a bit." Soo-ho still refused to give up. "You are really interesting." He clenched his teeth, speechless. This guy. At that moment, Young-soo stood on the platform announcing, "Welcome everyone. I, Major Kim Young-soo, will be the general manager overseeing all of you during the 3 days of the test." His voice echoed everywhere. "The 21 judges here will go through these 3 days and 2 nights of testing together with you. And they will also be the ones who decide whether you pass this test or not." Everyone looked forward and immediately murmured, "This time I must perform well." "Hey, that over there is Captain Park Jeong-soo. I heard being with him will be better." "Oh god, there is also the witch. Whichever team follows her will be eliminated by more than half." Young-soo continued his speech. "You already received your candidate numbers when registering, right? Now we will start drawing lots to divide teams." He announced, "Those whose names are called will step forward and line up in a single row before their judge." A series of arrangements was given. 1 Kim Jeong-woo, Judge 13, clear. 2 Kim Hyun-suk, Judge 15, oh god. 2 Chon Han-soo, clear. When Young-soo read 45 Han Dong-soo, Judge 15, he scowled and cursed once. Next was 46 Park Soo-ho, Judge 15. He muttered, 15 Ha. Soo-ho paused for a moment and uttered an ah. Soo-young was the blonde girl standing sternly there. He wondered, that blonde girl. Soo-ho smiled, thinking, long time no see. She was looking at the examinees in front, also needing a few seconds to think. He was standing behind Dong-su, who was scratching his head anxiously, then suddenly showed a very confident smile. Suddenly Soo-young's eyes opened wide. The teammates noticed the atmosphere growing tense and immediately turned their eyes toward the two of them. Dong-su darkened his face and cursed, "You bastard! Do you think I am easy to mess with?" He showed no restraint and responded with a simple yes, as if provoking the other side. Falling for it, he clenched his teeth and agreed right away. "Fine." Dong-su stood up, straightened his clothes, and shouted loudly, "Follow me." Right at that moment, hurried footsteps echoed from outside. Soo-young forcefully pushed open the door of the room. She stopped when she saw that not a single person was inside. She looked around in confusion. Where did these people all go? Meanwhile, in the training room, a few voices echoed. "This prison room is really amazing. This place is perfect to beat the crap out of someone you hate." The people below began urging Dong-su and Soo-ho, "Hurry up and start. If the examiner catches us, we will all be kicked out. Anyway, I am already doomed this round since I ended up in the team of that blonde witch." He wore only a tank top, showing off his bulging muscles, and provoked, "Come on, you jerk. You better take a good look at who your opponent is." Dong-su warmed up his limbs and boasted nonstop. "You don't know the hit violent TV show, do you? I come from a promising boxing background on Notube." Soo-ho absent-mindedly asked back, "Notube? What is that? Can you eat it?" Hearing that, he got angry and cursed, "You bastard! Are you kidding me? You really are a jerk." The people outside were excited and cheered, "Nice, fight, hurry up and charge." Dong-su threw countless punches into the air, mocking the opponent. "My hobby is straightening out guys like you. If I uploaded this clip online, there would be at least 100,000 views. What a pity." Soo-ho lowered his head and smirked, "Interesting." He frowned, entered a fighting stance, and shouted, "Stop talking nonsense." Dong-su lost his temper and rushed forward. "Come on, I will take you down in one beat." 1 second later, his punch was already inches away from Soo-ho's face. Just when things were getting intense, someone ran in quickly and shouted loudly, "Stop!" The freeloaders all turned around and were terrified when they saw Soo-young. He also stopped when he heard that voice, sweat running down his face, glancing over and thinking, which, contrary to Dong-su's expectation, Soo-young darkened her face and declared, "The one who loses will be eliminated. Start now." He and Soo-ho turned to look at her at the same time, confused. Dong-su turned pale with fear and thought, "She is crazy." His foot began to stomp hard on the floor of the arena. He was immediately drawn by this sound of footsteps. Soo-ho tightened his fist and approached with overwhelming momentum. Dong-su raised both of his fists and said smugly, "You brought this on yourself, so do not blame me, you brat." He curled his lips into a cold smile and said one sentence, "I am sorry." He gritted his teeth and cut him off. "Shut up and packed your things and got lost, you bastard." But the moment Dong-su threw a punch, he took a full hit to the side of his face. His whole body staggered to one side. Dong-su then crashed his face straight onto the arena floor. He passed out after just one punch from Soo-ho. Soo-young was shocked by this display. He said nothing and only smiled like a victor. She frowned and thought, "Fine, Park Soo-ho. This bastard is the cause of everything." The terrifying face of Soo-ho from before flashed in her mind, making her ponder, "From the first day I met him until now, he has been the main reason I always feel irritated. The aura he emits is strange." After finishing off Dong-su, he slowly walked toward her. Soo-ho casually asked, "What, are you not coming up?" Soo-young was extremely confused at his words. Soo-ho spoke, "If you want to pass, then come up too." She frowned and snapped one word, "What?" He waved his hand and made an offer. "In return, if I win, do not eliminate him." Soo-young laughed in disbelief. "Ridiculous." She immediately put her sword down on the floor. A second later, Soo-young stepped up and faced Soo-ho in the arena. She approached, tilted her head and mocked, "Are you crazy?" He still did not understand and wondered, "Crazy?" Soo-young began gathering strength to attack and shouted, "If you do not die, I will show you what it means." Soo-ho paused for a few seconds and widened his eyes at her. She quickly swung an arm forward, but he dodged to one side. Su-young twisted her foot sharply with impressive skill. She launched a second punch, but Su-ho blocked it. A barrage of punches was pushed toward him, and Su-ho could only raise his arms to defend. Without landing a solid hit, she immediately struck with her knee. He quickly lowered his head to dodge this deadly blow. Suddenly Su-ho's eyes widened to the extreme. Su-young was crouching, charging in with her massive chest, and arrogantly said, "If you win, I will grant you one more request." While he was distracted, she jumped up and delivered an uppercut that sent Su-ho flying backward, while Su-young spun beautifully in midair. This was the first time he had ever taken a hit from someone else. She glanced toward him, feeling something off. He was clearly strange. He definitely had something. Then Su-young landed. Su-young paused for a few seconds, frowning as she looked forward. She opened her eyes wide at the surprise from Su-ho. He was now able to sit steadily on the barrier. Su-ho smiled and said, "You seem stronger than I thought." Su-young darkened her face and thought, "Can he really withstand my attacks?" Her fighting spirit surged, and she turned to kick him. Su-young shouted excitedly, "This time I'm serious." Then she spread her legs apart, but Su-ho jumped to the side to dodge. He slipped and fell hard onto the floor. Su-young immediately kicked the barrier to gain momentum and leapt high. Her foot slid through the air. Su-young landed and aimed a kick at Su-ho, but he dodged to the side. She quickly regained her footing and ran forward. Su-young frantically unleashed all her elegant punches, but none of them landed. He used his muscular arms to block her foot. She was very fast, swinging her other leg toward Su-ho's head. He hastily raised his arm to block. Su-ho suddenly smiled when the opportunity came. Seeing this, Su-young gritted her teeth and cursed, "Damn it." She flipped through the air, and just as he threw his punch, Su-young activated her blue shield. She strained her hands to channel energy into the shield. But only a second later, Su-ho's fist shattered the shield. Su-young's whole body was thrown backward, dragging along the ground. She immediately reached her hands out, sliding across the ground. In an instant Su-young stopped, crouching, with blue lightning sparks emanating around her. Su-young frowned, sweat dripping, and wondered. He could break the shield. He accelerated toward her and said, "Now it's my turn." Su-young stepped back, sighing, "This is insane." Su-ho shouted excitedly, "This is interesting." She mocked, "You really are crazy," and thought, "Fine, he's not bluffing." He raised his fist, and she paused for a few seconds. Su-ho's foot slid sharply across the floor to stop. It turned out Su-young had extended her hand forward, in a paused state. She bravely admitted, "I admit defeat." He was startled and wondered, "This is interesting. Why is that?" Su-young suggested, "The arena is too small to fight with skills like this. Next time let's fight somewhere bigger." He squinted, his tone a bit gloomy. "What a pity." She loudly proposed, "Tell me your request. I will keep my promise." Su-ho straightforwardly asked, "Are there many strong girls like you on Earth?" Su-young crossed her arms and replied, "What? Not many." He raised his palm, smiling brightly like a flower, directly requesting, "All right, I choose you. Have a child with me." She frowned, looking extremely confused at this sudden proposal. "What?" Su-ho did not hesitate to repeat, "Pair up with me." Just a second later, Su-young swung her hand and slapped him across the face, and at that moment Dong-su woke up. He opened his eyes wide, groaning a few times. Dong-su, drenched in sweat, murmured, "What just happened? Why did he get slapped by the blonde witch? And why am I lying on the floor like this?" Then she approached, picked up her sword, gritted her teeth and cursed, "Crazy guy." He with a swollen cheek did not dare to speak a word. Then Dong-su raised his hand to his face, eyes brimming with tears, whispering, "I fainted from just one hit, oh God." He glanced sideways, scared, thinking, "If I had lost I would have been immediately disqualified. I didn't even get to retake it and wasted the registration fee." Dong-su knelt on the ground, blaming himself, so embarrassed. Suddenly he lifted his head and saw Su-ho ahead. "Dong-su angrily scolded you." You must feel very satisfied making me get disqualified, huh? Suho smiled and denied. You were not disqualified. He could not believe what he had just heard. At the same time, a camera was pointed at the two of them. That camera seemed to have recorded the entire process. Someone sitting in the monitoring room pressed close to the computer screen. He widened his eyes, panicked, thinking, Choi Soo-young, and he lost. At the training ground, Suho slipped his hands into his pockets and strode past Dong-soo, urging, let's go. He jumped up and called out, hey, wait, we said the loser would be disqualified, so why wasn't I counted as losing? Suho glanced back and explained, I requested it that way. Dong-soo gawked, eyes wide, muttering yes. He held his shirt with one hand, following behind, wondering, but why did she slap you like that? Suho honestly replied, I don't know either. Dong-soo paused for a few seconds, eyebrows furrowed, looking confused. Suddenly his eyes widened, as if he realized something. Dong-soo recalled the slap Suho took and guessed. Could it be because of me? He used that slap to ask her to let this disturbance slide. Dong-soo thought this and pressed his lips together, tears welling up. He looked at Suho's back, secretly admiring. He is such a man. This person is a real man. Tears then streamed down Dong-soo's face as he sobbed, calling out, Big brother. He hurriedly ran after him, shouting, Big brother, wait for me. Suddenly, an announcement came over the speaker, number 46, Contestant Park Suho, please proceed to the monitoring room immediately. Dong-soo was puzzled. Are they calling him? Suho hesitated and answered, seems like it. Not long after, in the monitoring room, the room was tightly closed. Suho sat properly, facing Young-soo. He timidly spoke, do you have something to say? Young-soo suddenly raised a recorder and proposed, wait, from now on I will record this entire conversation. Suho agreed, yes. Young-soo straightforwardly entered the main topic. I witnessed the match between you and the Level B Awakened. Supervisor Choi Soo-young, may I ask, are you an irregular? He asked in confusion. I'm quite curious. That is, what is it? Upon hearing this, he stroked his chin thoughtfully, momentarily unsure how to explain it properly. Young-soo furrowed his brow, guessing. It seems like you don't fully understand the information about the teleportation gates. He began to explain that, currently, there are 3 planets that have open teleportation gates linking to Earth. Uruka, Gutchen, Mediral, Earth. First is the planet Uruka, which is home to the elf and dwarf races. This planet is friendly in terms of cultural exchange and trade with Earth. They welcome Earthlings who come there and teach humans many skills such as magic and weapon crafting techniques, as well as magical arts. Next is the planet Gutchen. Gutchen is a place where the Mammon and Youngwon races fight for control of the planet. Although people can interact with the Youngwon if the linked teleportation gate is in their territory. If it links to Mammon's domain, war will immediately break out. And finally, the planet Mediral, a place full of monstrous creatures. Mediral is a neutral planet occupied by the orcs. However, besides the orcs, there are also extremely brutal giant monsters. If a teleportation gate opens there, war will erupt. Some people have acquired the techniques of these 3 planets and returned to Earth. Their combat ability cannot be classified according to the ranks of awakened humans, so they are called irregulars. Suho listened and rested his hand on his chin, sighing, that's too complicated. He revealed further, but it's not only these 3 planets. Young-soo was surprised by Suho's words. He thought to himself, if it's not only these 3 planets, could it be that he is someone returning from the dungeon? Otherwise, why could an F rank like him defeat Cho Soo-young, a B rank? Thinking this, Young-soo boldly asked, then from which planet did you return? He replied casually, I already told the bald doctor this. I lived with wolves for many years. His face suddenly darkened. What he had just heard hit him like a lightning strike. Then Suho spoke. We're done talking now, right? Young-soo replied awkwardly, yes. He smiled lightly, feeling grateful. Thank you for coming to talk with me. You may return to your resting room now. Suho then left, and the door slammed shut. Young-soo muttered in confusion. This is impossible. It can't be true. Suddenly Sang-sik pushed the door open and spoke. I am Sergeant Kim Sang-sik. He raised his hand to salute according to protocol. Reporting for duty, sir. Young-soo turned and said, Sergeant Kim. He entrusted a task. The supervision of Team 15 is in your care. Sang-sik was surprised and said, yes. He wondered if Captain Choi Soo-young had been sent somewhere. Young-soo pushed up his glasses, clicked his tongue, and said, she ran away. Sang-sik widened his eyes, stammering, you said she ran away. What do you mean? Young-soo's voice became firm as he gave orders. That's the situation. From now until the special exam ends, you are to record and monitor the candidate Park Soo-ho in Team 15 and report to me. In a flash, the loudspeaker blared again. The announcement echoed everywhere. All candidates, quickly change your clothes and proceed to the training ground. Inside, Dong-soo and his teammates groaned. Here we go. Oh well, let's move. The crowd quickly made their way to the training ground, while the commander in front shouted, line up according to your teams. Sang-sik stood at column 15 wearing his sharp black sunglasses. Dong-soo suddenly exclaimed, big bro, they've changed our team's supervisor. Someone behind him also cheered, the blonde witch is gone. Sang-sik at the front greeted cheerfully, hello, I am Sergeant Kim Sang-sik. From now on, I will be the supervisor of Team 15. He read through the requirements. Today's tasks will be running 100 meters in 9 seconds and completing 40 combined exercises in 1 hour. Too easy, right? The teammates behind me began to feel discouraged. Oh God, unbelievable. Everyone's awakened skills are different. This is a bit too much. A chubby young girl started running a lap, and when she finished, the instructor announced, 13 seconds, failed. The girl immediately protested loudly. How can you apply the standard for physical type awakeners to a recovery type awakener? Sang-sik pointed to the side, firmly marking her as failed. Do you think a monster would spare a healer? Failed. He continued calling names, number 45 Han Dong-soo, to the starting line. Dong-soo shouted, ready. He smiled with delight. 9 seconds is too easy. While those behind him felt worried. Hey, I even find it difficult. And how am I supposed to handle the 40 combined exercises? Dong-soo mischievously winked, holding up 2 fingers. Big bro, cheer me on, I'll go first. Soo-ho smiled as a gesture of encouragement for him. Dong-soo then ran at lightning speed and completed his test almost instantly. Sang-sik saw him pass and blew the whistle. 8 seconds passed. He looked down at the records and called out, next, number 46 Park Soo-ho. He immediately stepped up, placing his foot on the pedal and one hand on the ground. Soo-ho quickly assumed a ready stance, frowning, looking straight ahead. He pressed his lips together as if deep in thought. As Soo-ho started running, Dong-soo cheered with all his might. Big bro, come on. At that moment, Sang-sik lightly touched his glasses. The glasses had captured the moment Soo-ho's foot lifted off the pedal. Then Soo-ho ran at an astonishing speed. Dong-soo widened his eyes in shock. Sang-sik was equally stunned, speechless. Everyone behind had their eyes wide open, mouths agape, witnessing this extraordinary scene for the first time. At the same time, Young-soo was sitting in front of the computer in the surveillance room when the office phone rang. He quickly answered, Security Transmission Room. This is Lieutenant Kim Young-soo of the surveillance room. The other end immediately responded, Loyal reporting, this is Sergeant Kim Sang-sik. Young-soo listened seriously. The results of candidate Park Soo-ho's physical test are in, but they are quite shocking. Sir, please watch the video. He gritted his teeth and muttered, There are reporters. Sang-sik quickly turned his head to look behind. The reporters were snapping photos and chatting excitedly. Is that him? Amazingly, this will be special news. He relayed the information, and they were very excited. Scene shifts to another office. The office phone kept ringing non-stop. Mai-soo quickly picked up. This is Kim Mai-soo, Overview Department of the Returning Persons Administration. Yes, hello Lieutenant Kim Young-soo. Young-soo's face darkened as he ordered, I have sent you several videos of Park Soo-ho already. You must watch them immediately. She glanced down and called out, "Yes." Soon after, head of Department Park pointed at the screen and explained, "Lieutenant Kim Young-soo is a skill user specializing in decoding lies. Therefore, I believe the content of his interview with Dr. Kim Young-kook at the hospital is also true." Mai-soo, upon hearing this, guessed, perhaps all reports from Dr. Kim Young-kook are truthful. She imagined the devilish face of Soo-ho and thought, so F-rank returnees are always thought to suffer from delusions. Yet he is an irregular from B rank or higher, and if everything he says is true, then Park Soo-ho really returned from a fourth planet unknown to humans. She quickly ordered, head of Department Park, to stop the reporters from intruding into the exam site. He picked up his phone, hesitating, for that matter. Head of Department Park announced, "It seems we are already one step behind, sir. F-rank Awakener Park Soo-ho. New record 14 minutes 48 seconds for the 40 combined exercise. Previous record in Korea held by Soon Jae-oh at 19 minutes. Broken after 3 years, Park Soo." The reporters grew in number, each of them fully focused on their work. When they saw Soo-ho and Dong-soo in front, they shouted, "And Park Soo-ho, please stop. Can we interview you, just for a moment? Please spare us some time." Hearing that, he stopped and turned toward them. On the other side, Mai-soo clasped her hands, deep in thought. He can pass through the transfer gate without protective gear, even though he was rated F only because he lacked multidimensional energy. But could the physical parameters he had on that planet still remain? And come to think of it, the status window system also malfunctioned at that time. She thought of Soo-ho's face and wondered, how could he? Mai-soo calculated if he really returned from the fourth planet. At that moment, security rushed toward Soo-ho and loudly ordered, "Block the reporters." She furrowed her brows again, predicting, "Then our Republic of Korea will be the country holding the dominant position over that mysterious fourth planet." The reporters still raised their cameras high, refusing to give up. "Just let us in for a bit. And Park Soo-ho, please look this way and smile. It is dangerous. Please step back." The security guards immediately spread their arms to stop them. No entry. Inside the cafeteria, everyone was buzzing with gossip. What are the reporters doing out there? It is because of him, that person, that is Park Soo-ho, right? Just looking at him is overwhelming. Ignoring their words, Soo-ho continued eating his overflowing tray of food. Sitting across from him, Dong-soo kept his eyes glued to him as the shouting from outside echoed in, "Move, move, please step back." Right then he was eating heartily. Dong-soo's cheeks turned red as he thought, "That is right. There is no way a normal guy could have knocked me out. What a shame. If only I had broadcast that incident, I would already be famous." Seeing him dazed, Soo-ho asked, "What are you looking at?" "You finished eating." Dong-soo gave an awkward smile, wanting to act like a loyal errand boy. No, big bro, are you choking? Let me get you some water." He stood up and left, while Soo-ho shoveled the rest of the food into his mouth. Dong-soo confirmed to himself, the amount of food he eats is also completely different from everyone else. He will definitely become a major figure someday. Not long after, in the familiar room number 15. Soo-ho was lying down resting, while Dong-soo just sat absent-mindedly across from him. He glanced around and spoke up, looking at the luggage cabinet, "I guess everyone has been eliminated." Soo-ho did not care and simply closed his eyes to relax after the training period. Dong-soo suddenly shut his eyes tightly and sighed in frustration. Something big had happened. Seeing that, Soo-ho opened his eyes and turned to ask, "Why?" He said dejectedly, "Are we not supposed to attack the dungeon now? If our team had more people, we would definitely have the advantage. I wonder if the other teams have rearranged their manpower." Soo-ho confidently replied, "It is fine, you alone are enough." Dong-soo froze, muttering in confusion, this overwhelming confidence. He grew flustered, touching his fingertips together and reminding him, "No, even though I understand your physical strength and combat ability, the environments inside the dungeon are extremely diverse, no matter how talented you are." Dong-soo explained, "It is no tube. Do you not know it?" Suho sat upright and repeated the name, Notube. Dong-su looked confused and asked, "You really do not know? Did you just come down from a mountain?" Suho gave an awkward smile and said, "The place I lived in was almost like that." Dong-su's mind began to spiral. Oh my god, what era is this guy living in? Then he took out his phone, walked to Suho and said, "Look, this is Notube." Dong-su said, "This part shows the number of viewers. Do you see my viewer count? 1284 people." Suho pointed at another number and said, "This one has more." Dong-su admitted, "There are many famous channels." Suddenly Suho widened his eyes and asked, "What is this? 100,000. Dong-su confirmed, "It is a famous mukbang channel." Suho looked at the screen, saw the girl unchanging a delicious piece of meat and exclaimed, "This must taste really good. Can she eat all of that by herself?" Dong-su glanced at him and thought, come to think of it, this guy's appetite is nothing like a normal person. Dong-su spoke up, "I know many people in the mukbang community. If you are interested, I can introduce you to film with them later." Suho happily asked, "Really? I can eat all of that too? You promised." He forced a smile and agreed, "Of course." The boy glanced over and praised, "You really are a good person." Dong-su recalled the reporters and whispered his acknowledgement. This guy has perfect conditions to do Notube. Handsome, strong, and with record-breaking achievements that appeared all over the news. He calculated a bit. If tomorrow he proves his strength through the dungeon attack, then him becoming the #1 talent hunted by famous guilds would only be a matter of time. And if I broadcast with someone like that? Suho suddenly said, "I like you. Join my clan?" He froze for a moment and blurted out a single word, "Yes." The two faced each other, looking at each other with curious eyes. Dong-su asked, "You are forming a clan. You are not joining a guild." He answered casually with one word, "Yeah." A drop of sweat slid down. He pressed his lips and waited. Dong-su widened his eyes and thought, if I form a clan with the main character of this hunter exam, then make clips about attacking the dungeon, this. He recalled the moment he was knocked out on the ring. Back then, Dong-su sat sadly in a corner. He had struggled through a poor childhood because of boxing. Although he repeatedly failed to get the professional license, he never gave up hope. The world champion always appeared in his mind. But then, the great catastrophe took away all his dreams and hopes, and he sat drinking with his friends, lamenting, "If you lent me money, it would be great." The other two suggested, "Boxing is hard to survive now. The world has changed. If you want to make money, then become an awakened. Go do mercenary work or join the SPFC." With a bleeding heart, he began walking the path of Notube. Back then Dong-su asked his friend, "If I do well I can earn money, right?" The other reminded, "Oh come on, anybody can do that. You need good content." Returning to the present, his spirit brightened, "Right, I need good content. This is exactly the amazing content I have been searching for. My life is finally blooming." Dong-su clenched his fists and said firmly, "I will do anything as long as I can join you." Suho praised me, "Good, I am very pleased with you. You must keep the mukbang promise with me." Tears flowed down his cheeks again, and he stammered, "Boss, since you said so," thinking to himself, connections truly are the key to success. He asked awkwardly, "Why are you suddenly crying?" Dong-su reassured me, "It's nothing, don't worry about it." He suddenly remembered, "But boss, a clan must have at least 3 people. I already agreed, but..." Suho heard that and repeated, "3 people, huh?" Suddenly someone pushed the door open, interrupting their conversation. Both of them instinctively turned their eyes toward that direction. A monk with a weapon on his back stood imposingly in front of them. Both could not help but feel curious, their eyebrows raising instinctively. Dong-su wondered, why is there a monk here all of a sudden? The monk clasped his hands together and introduced himself. "I am candidate number 80, named Myung-jin, just transferred to Team 15, Namo Amidabutsu, Guan-chi-in Bodhisattva." This information made Dong-su even more astonished and exclaimed, "The monk is also awakened." Suddenly outside came the sound of alarm bells, making the monk glance in that direction. Suho and Dong-su fell silent and listened. The announcement sounded, "All candidates please change into your competition clothes and gather at the briefing room within 30 minutes." He exhaled, while the others murmured, "Gathered?" Dong-su frowned and questioned, "What is this? It's night, and they still make us gather outside." Suho suddenly remembered, "Aren't we attacking the dungeon tomorrow?" Myung-jin interjected, "I have heard the dungeon attack will be carried out at night without prior notice. Namo amida butsu." Dong-su jumped in shock and yelled, "No prior notice, unbelievable." The scene shifted to a meeting. Young-soo pointed at the screen and spoke, "Silence, silence. Now I will begin the briefing on the dungeon attack." He continued, "Today's test is to check whether you can enter the dungeon." Young-soo pointed to a symbol on the map and said, "This dungeon is located in the 5th district of Seoul, under the management of the Phoenix Guild. This is a level 1 dungeon with a total of 250 entrances." Suho exclaimed in surprise, "Phoenix Guild," Dong-su revealed. Although the Phoenix Guild is not among the top 12 guilds representing South Korea, it is still a very famous guild. Dong-su paused for a second, thinking to himself, which planet did this guy come from? Then hesitated and said, "Bet." The nation cannot manage all the gates that appear, so the country recruited clans and signed treaties with them to help defend the 12 districts of Seoul. And the clans that signed the National Defense Treaty are called guilds. The guilds both manage the dungeons in their area and also manage the benefits from the dungeons. The larger the scale of benefits they manage, the more they try to expand it. After the Great Disaster, the world economic order began to be restructured, focusing on this large-scale industry. Suho guessed, "You mean we can hunt and make money in places the state allows?" Dong-su confirmed, "Yes, basically that." He recalled the time he lived with the wolf pack and thought to himself, "I want to form a clan because I really miss the days of living and hunting with the wolves." Suho then grinned and added, "So we can also have our own territory." Dong-su reminded, "If we have our own dungeon that would be great, otherwise we would have to pay a fee to enter." He agreed, "Okay, then our goal will be to become a guild." Dong-su interrupted nervously, "Boss, first we have to pass this exam." Then Suho looked at Dong-su with a curious gaze, making him sigh to himself, "What, this guy is like an idiot." Above, Young-soo continued to announce, "This is the shape of the gate on National Route 14 in District 5. It is a level 1 dungeon, and in about 15 days it will crack." He looked at the gap there and said, "It is a maze dungeon, with the least number of items, also the easiest dungeon among all the dungeons. If you encounter weak monsters, you might have to provide a lot of multidimensional energy to reach the required number of items. A bit unfortunate, right?" Then Young-soo concluded, "So I have finished guiding you on the level 1 dungeon attack." Dong-soo widened his eyes and complained, "What the heck? If this is a maze dungeon, then the problem is no longer the monsters, but we could get trapped in the maze. Damn it, no matter how good we are at attacking dungeons." He held his head crying and muttered, "If only I had exploration skills." Suho glanced over and reassured, "You have this exploration skill." Dong-soo widened his eyes as if he could not believe what he just heard, stammering, "Boss." He was so worried that sweat ran down his face, thinking, wait, did he learn that skill before entering the exam? Even without doing anything, he still has skill books worth 30 million won. Dong-soo made another guess about Suho's identity. This guy must be from a wealthy family. At this moment, Myung-jin was still deep in thought. Dong-soo turned to face and asked, "Master, I wonder about your awakening skill." The master heard this, frowned, and glanced over. Myung-jin lowered his head, seemingly carrying countless thoughts. Suho and Dong-soo remained silent, waiting for an answer. His eyes gradually became sharp, and he hesitantly spoke, "I, humble monk." Myung-jin recalled the time he was striking the wooden drum, producing golden circular lights. He struck it continuously, without stopping for a moment. At that time, a goblin was running frantically in the forest. Myung-jin was still sitting in front of the Buddha statue, focusing on his ritual. Loud noises approached the temple, interspersed with the sound of the drum and chanting. The monster's feet stomped heavily on the ground. They all turned toward the temple. One goblin opened its mouth wide, revealing sharp fangs with saliva flying everywhere. Myung-jin continued to strike the drum steadily, producing sounds that echoed everywhere. Soon, night fell again, and the forest was enveloped in a dark, ominous hue. Another monster rose, growling a few times in the silent darkness. He remained unmoved, continuously chanting. The sound of the drum grew louder to drive them away. The goblins could not endure any longer, gathering in a group and heading toward the temple. The monster immediately attacked from the temple side, scattering the goblins in all directions. Suddenly, someone ran in from outside, shouting, "Myung-jin!" Gung-seo pushed the door open to block him. Myung-jin stopped immediately. Myung-jin turned his face in confusion. Gung-seo. He frowned and argued, "Now you must," he urgently said. "The abbot has called for assembly. We must leave this place immediately, quickly." Upon hearing this, Myung-jin's face darkened completely. At the same time, a monster lunged at Gung-seo from behind. He widened his eyes, staring at its gaping mouth behind him. The memories surged back, making Myung-jin painfully think to himself, "So I have finished the briefing for the attack." At that moment Dong-su whispered into Su-ho's ear, "That master, what is wrong?" Young Su above was announcing that, from now on, after moving to the assembly point, you will gather into teams with your supervisors to begin the dungeon attack, and use the travel time to review the guidebook. Not long after, the cars began to move. His shout echoed everywhere, "I hope all of you can successfully pass this test." In an instant, the helicopter had arrived at the dungeon gate. The commander's voice rang out. Everyone assembled. He held a control baton urging, "Quickly get off the vehicle, gather and observe my movements. If you do not hold your resolve, you will not be able to survive and return." He looked at the troops inside and asked, "Are you all ready?" And Dong-su turned to remind Su-ho, "Chief, you must tighten your safety belt." The supervisor instructed, "Starting from the moment you enter the dungeon, you may act as if I am not there and make your own decisions. But you know, your personal scores can still decrease even if your team successfully clears the dungeon." Dong-su spoke up, "But supervisor, our team only has 3 people. You will help when we are in danger, right?" He did not say anything, only said, "Let us depart." Then the supervisor began turning around toward the back. At that moment Su-ho spoke, "Why must you be so afraid?" He hurried to defend himself. "No, chief, I am not afraid." Myung-jin suddenly said, "We are allowed to use personal weapons, right?" The supervisor immediately confirmed, "Of course." Dong-su was shocked again. What, that master too? Could it be because they already passed the mercenary test, so they all carry weapons made from multidimensional material? The scene shifted outside the dungeon gate. A soldier raised his control baton and announced, "Team 14 has entered successfully. Next, Team 15, enter gate number 175. The supervisor cheerfully urged us to go in. Then the 3 of them entered together. With a resounding shout, "Team 15, commence." Su-ho calmly walked alone at the front. The other 3 followed behind, Dong-su walking anxiously. "Why is he going ahead alone? I feel so uneasy." He fearfully reminded loudly, "Chief, 4-way perimeter." Dong-su realized he had spoken out of turn and hurriedly put his hand over his mouth. He glanced back at the supervisor thinking, "Damn, I just lost points. I should have stayed silent to confirm the safe area. Shouting like that will attract the monsters." Speaking of monsters, one immediately appeared. A skeletal figure materialized in front of Su-ho. Before it could do anything, Su-ho's hand landed on its head. With a single punch, the monster disintegrated instantly. The only remnants were tiny, scattered fragments from its body. Dong-su watched the monster collapse to the ground and exclaimed happily, "So it was the sound I made that distracted the monster, luring it here and allowing it to be eliminated. You executed our tactical plan perfectly." He hurried to Su-ho calling out, "Chief, did you use the exploration skill while advancing? If there had been a mistake." Suddenly Su-ho glanced back, sensing something was wrong. Someone's foot had unknowingly stepped on a trap. Myung-jin froze, surprised, looking down at his foot. Mysterious sounds whizzed directly over their heads. Dong-su panicked, unable to speak. This is... A volley of arrows shot straight toward the three of them. He shouted, "A trap!" Myung-jin quickly reached behind and grabbed his weapon. His eyes were filled with killing intent. A barrage of bullets appeared amid the smoke and fire. The monster from before had to endure countless bullets alone. At that moment, Gung Seo outside was holding his staff with all his strength, fighting the goblin. Inside, Myung-jin hugged someone, turning to look at the horrifying scene. He cried, sweat pouring down, shouting, "I'm sorry, it's because of me." Myung-jin looked at the monster collapsing near the temple and blamed himself. "It's all my fault." Back in the present, he raised his staff, spinning it to block the incoming arrows, using the full moon whirlwind technique. Dong-su gawked at the scene, exclaiming, "Oh my god, this guy is going to die." Amid the chaos, someone's foot accidentally stepped on another trap. The ground beneath the three of them opened, causing all three to fall suspended downwards. A few seconds later, it started to close slowly. Then the floor slammed shut, trapping the three below. The remaining arrows shot straight down everywhere in the dungeon. Suho and Myung-jin quickly stood up. Only Dong-su remained groaning. He lay flat in a corner, thinking pessimistically, "This is terrible. Could it be that all my dreams have turned to smoke?" Suddenly, strange noises echoed. Dong-su panicked, eyes wide open. The monster sounds grew louder deep inside. He shouted fearfully, "Chief, it seems we have attracted them here." Myung-jin gripped his staff tightly and said, "Sorry, my awakening skill is wide area provocation." Dong-su was surprised, stammering, "Wide area provocation?" Suho calmly said, "That's good. It would be troublesome." Myung-jin heard that and glanced over, looking confused. Immediately after, Suho took momentum, flipped gracefully in the air, and unleashed a devastating kick. The monk froze, eyes wide as he watched the move. Dong-su also had to look up in awe. Is that really a human's kick? A second later, he landed powerfully on the ground. Suho stood atop the wall, shouting down, "Hey monk, I like you. Join my clan." Myung-jin was surprised, yet inwardly extremely delighted. Suddenly, behind them appeared a group of skeletons wielding weapons, charging together. Suho heard the noise and immediately turned to look. His eyes blazed, shouting, exploring. A blue glow from the system, along with binoculars, quickly targeted the monsters. They did not notice this and still urged each other forward. Suho stomped firmly on the ground to gain momentum. He began using his skill, running straight ahead. Dong-su did not move at all, gritting his teeth, wondering, is he really going to wipe them all out? Suddenly, a staff member pointed straight at him. Myung-jin had jumped up at some point, gripping the staff tightly and shouted, "Catch it!" Dong-su immediately grabbed it, calming his mind. "I don't care anymore. I have to start fighting them and hunting monsters according to the plan after using wide area provocation." Then the monk used all his strength to pull him up. The two of them began moving inside, surrounded by piles of monster corpses and echoing cries. Dong-su panicked, shouting, "This is crazy. How are we supposed to deal with all of them?" Suho up front, holding the neck of one monster, urged, "Hurry, follow me and deal with this trash." They quickly ran forward, shouting, "I'm coming. That guy? Crazy, really." Then the three of them joined forces and defeated the gang of young monsters. Myung-jin froze, thinking, could it be that he detected that trap using his exploration skill, and even used that trap to slaughter the monsters rushing in with his astonishing speed? He suddenly widened his eyes, as if discovering something. On this side, Suho calmly eliminated the monsters. He leaned back and suddenly saw one trying to bite his elbow. At that moment, Myung-jin's staff swung straight into its head. Dong-su behind them raised his hand and shouted excitedly, "Amazing." Suho took advantage of that, planted one hand on the ground, lifted himself, and kicked the monster hard. The system announced, "You have earned 42 real points." The scene shifted to the base glowing in the night. Someone looked at the monitor and reported, a team was returning from the dungeon. Young Su exclaimed in surprise, What? Not even 30 minutes yet? He placed a hand on the person's shoulder and asked, isn't the average time for this dungeon 5 hours? Did they encounter an accident? Which team is this? That person reported via camera, Team 15. Sir, I see all members of this team are stable. Young Soo questioned. Team 15 is Park Soo-ho's team. Just then, the phone rang suddenly. He immediately answered, yes, this is the inspection director. Why have they returned so soon? Sang-sik reported, because they have cleared this dungeon. Young Soo jumped in surprise. What did you say? He thought of Soo-ho's determined gaze and continued, although you can see it on the surveillance video. I think it will be very hard for us to evaluate their stats, because this is the most outstanding performance ever in a dungeon. The scene shifted to a small road outside, the sun beginning to rise. Dong-soo picked up the phone and cheerfully greeted, hello everyone, welcome to the vlog of daily little stories of Soo-ho clan. He paused for a few seconds and then loudly said, you ask what I will show you today. First, let's watch a video of moving into the new home of Soo-ho clan. Then Dong-soo filmed the small house of Soo-ho and said, now I will introduce the members of Soo-ho clan. First is the extremely charming and lovely nutrition expert, who serves as the head chef of our Soo-ho clan. He filmed Suk-cha cooking while introducing her. Here is the landlady cooking. Ma'am, please greet the viewers watching. She frowned, raising a knife to threaten. You're busy, so get lost before I gut your heart, liver, and lungs and stir-fry them to eat. Dong-soo was terrified by Suk-cha's words and tone. Gun-woo sitting at the table asked, Dad, what does gutting the heart and liver mean? Jun-ho hesitated, then hurriedly tried to explain that, that's not abuse, she is actually very caring. Dong-soo turned toward a Buddhist statue, asking, why is there a Buddhist statue in this office, if you want me to talk about it? He excitedly said, oh right, last time you guys didn't get to meet the owner of this statue, right? Then let's go meet one of the 3 members of Soo-ho clan, the master of wide-range provocation, staff expert Monk Myung-jin. Not long after, at a small eatery, Dong-soo pushed open the door and called everyone. Soo-ho turned his face and said, you're here already. He pointed the camera at Myung-jin and introduced, have you guys seen the monk? That's Monk Myung-jin, the monk shyly said, come and have a meal. Dong-soo urged Monk Myung-jin, say hello to the viewers. The monk immediately raised his staff and said, I have lost many things while fighting the evil monsters. But with this staff left by my senior brother, suddenly a yell interrupted, get over here. The familiar white truck screeched to a stop. Jun-ho inside looked out and shouted, brother, we're all ready. They excitedly cheered, let's go. Owner, the bill. Then the 3 of them sat in the back of the truck. Above them, the camera panned to their position. Soo-ho looked up and asked, hey, what's that thing flying around? Let me smash it. Dong-soo exclaimed, oh my god, brother, you don't even know what a flycam is. His voice echoed everywhere. Currently we are moving to the area with Gate 30, in Zone 4. Dong-soo filmed the glowing gate and said, have you guys seen that blue gate? Today marks a historic milestone, the first dungeon hunt of Soo-ho clan. He winked and said, do you remember the video about my awakening skill? Wait until I get back to upload that video. In no time, they arrived in front of a cliff. Soo-ho looked at the bats and wondered, are those bats? Dong-soo exclaimed, is this a bat dungeon? He curiously asked, brother, do you have any area of effect skills? Soo-ho bluntly replied, no. Dong-soo frowned, calculating, then how are we supposed to catch them? Myung-jin had already put on his glasses, cutting the 2 of them off, leaving it to me. The 2 glanced over in surprise. He immediately pulled out his weapon and began striking his wooden fish. Myung-jin dropped to one knee as the sound of chanting spread everywhere. The flock of bats heard it and began swirling into a vortex. Dong-soo watched them in awe. Why are they acting like that? Everyone, look, the bats are reacting strangely to Monk Myung-jin's chanting. On the other side, the bats bared their teeth and growled threateningly at the 3 of them. They clustered together and charged straight at them. Dong-soo panicked and shouted, they're coming. Myung-jin was startled. his eyes widening. Then he extended his staff, confronting the bats. Dong-su shouted, "The bats are attacking Monk Myung-jin." Seeing Myung-jin swiftly spun his staff, unleashing the blazing mountain wind staff technique to wipe them out. While Dong-su filmed and narrated, "Everyone look, it's the blazing mountain wind staff." Then a gigantic bat rose up in front of the monk, and Dong-su cried out, "The final boss of this bat dungeon has appeared." Before it even had the chance to strike, Suho rushed in and sliced it clean in half with one swing, and Dong-su recounted, "With just one slash from Big Brother Suho." Dong-su looked at the blood splattered before him along with the bat's corpse and exclaimed, "We have cleared this dungeon." The three of them immediately put on masks and began dissecting them together, and Suho urged, "The gate has opened, hurry up." While Dong-su naively asked, "Big Brother, let's sell one more of these." At the same time, a stream of comments appeared. Seong-suke, "No way. Could clearing a dungeon really be this easy?" Talgum, "Is it true they cleared the dungeon in 20 minutes? Jai, I was the one who went to this bat dungeon 3 days ago. It's not an easy dungeon to clear." Wonjini, "Park Suho is the one who set a new record in the recent exam, right? Wonjini, and he's still F rank." Seong-suke, "I thought he was just following the monk style." "But he really is a monk." Seong-suke, "Dong-su, aren't you going to do anything?" Ju, Gloria M, "He just sits there collecting bloodstones from hundreds of bats. So funny." Jian, "Still, those thieves are scoundrels." The scene shifts to the Awakena Association office, someone continuously moving the mouse. Mai-su rested her chin on one hand, watching the screen and exhaling. Director Park looked down at his phone and said, "Their clan's main base is located in Region 4. Their main clan base is in Region 4 of Seoul, and at this speed, on average, the three of them can clear up to 20 dungeons a day. Currently, they are destroying nearby level 1 dungeons." She sighed at the post. The rise of the F-rank genius Hunter Park Suho. Dong-su TV, 7,789 comments. "Incredible. Are they even real people?" Mai-su rubbed her forehead and murmured, "We tried to block the news, but unexpectedly, one of them is a streamer." Director Park reported, "Currently videos related to Park Suho have risen to the top 3 in search rankings. If we block the news, it will blow up. We need to prepare another countermeasure." She muttered, "I know that," then paused for a few seconds. A news broadcast appeared. Hiro vs. Gervas, Russian world champion Hulk Michael Gervas challenges Okita Hiro. Mai-su whispered, "Hiro." The news voice announced, player Hulk Michael Gervas defeated opponent Horizon using the Mega Combo Knockout Punch technique. After this match, the world #1 player Hulk Mikhail Gervas directly challenged his next opponent. None other than Okita Hiro from Japan. Michael clenched his fist in challenge. "Next is your turn, Okita Hiro." She immediately thought of that person, Okita Hiro, also known as Lee Seong-woo. He is the SS rank irregular discovered in Korea. The government quickly approached him to protect this talent. If Seoho faces Lee Seong-woo then? Director Park saw her silence and quietly called, "Captain." Mai-su suddenly stood up, walked a few steps and said, "Prepare to approach Park Suho." She grabbed her jacket and said, "I will go there directly." The scene shifts outside, voices shouting, "Kimbap 3001 per serving. Fish cake 501 per stick." Inside a small shop, Dong-su wondered, why didn't Monk Myung-jin come today? Jun-ho looked at the computer screen and confirmed, "Yes." Suho curiously asked, "So where did the monk go?" "His temple is gone already," he explained. "Actually, after that day, the remaining survivors of the monk's temple all came to Seoul and are living here now." Dong-su sitting beside him sighed in frustration. "Without the monk, our monster hunting efficiency will drop." Jun-ho tapped a few keys on the keyboard and suggested, "Hyun, let's take a rest today. Anyway, our clan already qualifies for a rank up." Hearing that, he happily exclaimed, "Already? Really?" The other added, "Moreover, in just 3 days our clan's shared funds have reached 140 million won." Dong-su excitedly asked, "So we can attack level 2 dungeons now, right?" Jun-ho confirmed, "Yes." He grinned enthusiastically, thinking, all I did was harvest bloodstones from the bats. Yet in only 3 days I already have $2,000 in my account. If we start attacking level 2 dungeons now. Suho saw Dong-su's excitement and couldn't help being confused. He happily muttered, then I will go crazy with joy. How many more bloodstones will I get? The system displayed information. Han Dong-su, level 3F Notaber. He folded his arms, deep in thought. After getting more than 3,000 achievement points, I used them to buy all those messy skills. Looks like there are some interesting skills. Suho thought for a moment, then agreed. All right, let's rest today. John Ho immediately closed the laptop, stood up and said, then I will take the Gunwoo and the landlady for a walk in the park. The status window appeared. Park Jun Ho, no information. Seeing that, he squinted, as if sensing something strange. Suho glanced at Sukcha handing food to Beak-gu. Beak-gu, eat your meal. The info also displayed. Lee Sukcha, no information. Beak-gu level 1 combat power 3. He pursed his lips, wondering, dogs can awaken like humans too. Suddenly Suho called Jun-ho, making him pause. Huh. Suho expressed gratitude. Lately you've been fixing cars often. Thanks for your hard work, Jun-ho politely replied. Oh please don't say that. Finding car parts is tiring, but driving after fixing it feels great. He smiled and suggested, how about we buy a new pickup truck, the latest model? This made him excited, loudly asking, really? Suho replied firmly, yes. He looked at Beak-gu and said, let Beak-gu come along too. Scene shifted to the showroom. The staff introduced this as the Gondai Dragon XG7000. Jun-ho touched it and marveled. This Gondai Dragon is known as the dream car of hunters. The staff quoted the price. This car runs on highly sustainable bloodstones, and its price is also among the best at only 80 million won. Suho from behind asked, you like it? He confirmed, of course. He grinned and said, we'll pay in cash. Can you deliver it immediately? In no time, Jun-ho was driving the new car, speeding through the streets with cheers. He marveled while driving, Hyung, this car is amazing, completely different from that old clunker. He folded his arms, admitting, indeed, even though the passenger seat feels great, I should have bought it earlier. Jun-ho glanced and suddenly asked, but why are we going to number 23 in Area 4 now? Isn't that zone blocked? Suho got to the point. Because you didn't have money, you couldn't awaken, right? He paused for a moment, uttering a soft huh. Then he quietly said, today you shall awaken. Jun-ho's eyes widened, unable to speak. What? The car slowly drove into a narrow alley that had been abandoned to the point that moss grew everywhere. Dark clouds simultaneously covered the area, creating a creepy atmosphere. Jun-ho drove while gritting his teeth in anxiety, his tension clearly visible on his face. Beak-gu sensed something and kept growling. Suho noticed the signs and asked, Beak-gu, did you smell it too? The stench of goblins? Jun-ho panicked, sweat dripping down, stammering, I feel uneasy, can we leave now? As soon as he finished speaking, he grabbed the door handle and opened the car door. Suho stepped out, closed the car door, and instructed, I will be back soon. You and Beak-gu sit here and wait. Jun-ho became even more frightened, reaching out and calling, wait, stop. Then he stomped on the ground and dashed forward. His younger brother in the car stared in shock, not knowing what to do. At the same time, in a familiar apartment complex, a video showed Suho's squad dissecting the bats, and a voice asked, is it him? Someone answered, yes, sir. He is the one who has been trending on NoTube recently. The subordinate pressed close to the screen, warning, we cannot predict the power of an irregular person like him. Jong-su gritted his teeth and admitted defeat. In this case, even hiring someone to assassinate him would be useless. Dong-su's voice from the video echoed, sir, the dungeon boss on the left is charging here. The subordinate swore, but could not ignore it. He turned and ordered, quickly give me the list of clans in Area 4 that we regularly sponsor. He muttered, if it is Area 4, then Assistant Choi is there. A few seconds later, Jong-su said cheerfully, all right, this is Assistant Choi. He remembered that person. If it is Assistant Choi, handling one person is as easy as a rabbit. Myung-woo of course only needs money. You know we have to pay 50% upfront. The subordinates agreed. Exactly, sir. Last time he handled 6 credit-bearing people at once. He laughed happily and commanded, contact him immediately. I will cover any fee he requests. Outside, dark clouds gradually approached, forming a dense black patch above. Heavy rain poured down on the area. Suk-cha pulled her things while walking in the rain, complaining, Ancestor, I have to wash clothes again. At that moment, a car drove up beside her. Suk-cha instinctively looked at it. Several awakened association members got out of the car, and Min-soo called out, Mrs. Lee Suk-cha. She held out her nameplate and said, We are from the Management Bureau. May we meet Park Soo-ho? Suk-cha pressed her lips together, silently pondering for a while. At that moment, several lightning bolts exploded loudly from above. Jun-ho was still sitting in the car, waiting for Soo-ho to return. He muttered in fear, I cannot see anything. It has already been 30 minutes. What is he doing? Beak-gu sat in the car constantly on alert. Jun-ho frowned, a drop of sweat rolling down, completely panicked. Suddenly, a monster stuck its head out from the car window, making him scream in terror. Its hand slammed onto the glass and slid down, leaving a long smear of blood plasma. The droplets of blood then mixed with the rainwater on the ground. Jun-ho's face turned pale with fright. Soo-ho suddenly appeared, opened the car door, and said, Get out. He squinted in fear and stuttered, Brother? Jun-ho finally stepped out, slowly approaching the goblin. Suddenly it lifted its head and opened its mouth wide. Seeing that, he raised his hands defensively and stepped back. The dagger fell to the ground. Soo-ho glanced back and ordered, Kill it and follow me. Jun-ho collapsed to the ground, picked up the dagger, tears welling up, and called, Brother, wait. He looked over coldly and uttered one word, What? Jun-ho cried and asked, Do I really have to awaken? Soo-ho gritted his teeth and emphasized, If you stay this weak, you will not survive. Kill it quickly. Jun-ho lowered his head, unable to face this. The goblin continued baring its sharp teeth as if provoking him. Small Beak-gu stood to the side barking nonstop at it. Jun-ho had no other choice and ordered Beak-gu, Bite it. Receiving the command, it immediately dashed forward. Beak-gu charged without hesitation, biting at the goblin. Because it was too small, the goblin still managed to grab Beak-gu's head and stop it. Soo-ho lowered his gaze and said, Beak-gu is still too small to do anything. If you do not stab it now, Beak-gu will die. Cornered, Jun-ho could only plead desperately, Please, brother, please. He stood in the rain as lightning flashed before his eyes and shouted, Kill it. Only then did he grip the dagger tightly and slowly lift it. The goblin was about to bite down on Beak-gu's head.